Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamer Sounds Podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. What's going on, guys?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm just going to erase Superman 64 because I'm liable to read it.
Well, if you're feeling nostalgic, John, you know, why not?
Yeah, if I was, I did get my retro tink, so I did bust out a bunch of retro games today trying it out. But, Superman 64 was not one of them. In fact, the N64 at all was not one of the systems I tried out. So
yeah, but we all know that
Because he plugs it into the retro tink and he goes, "Yeah,
yep,
looks like I'll remember."
Yeah.
Connects.
Yeah.
See, like for me, if Nintendo really wanted to sell that Nintendo 64 service for like double, triple the price, they could have just easily put Superman 64 there. Everybody would have been like, "All right,
we got a fan." He's like, "That was one of the first games I owned. It was so great." Yeah. Actually, I was reading something the other day that I've never played it. I know it's really bad, but apparently it's broken and you can't even finish it. Like the last two levels just crashed the game.
Yeah.
People tried dozens of ROMs. I guess it's a cart problem too. So,
yeah, I remember when it came out and we were all excited. Oh, a Superman game finally! Oh my gosh! Luckily back then we could go to Blockbuster and rent it before we actually bought it.
What's Blockbuster?
Oh my gosh! But yeah, it was.
I've never played. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did play the game briefly because of Blockbuster, actually, but I didn't put much time into it just because I just couldn't. I didn't understand what was going on.
Oh, it's so crappy.
Yeah, but that game is just so broken to the point where like that doesn't surprise me. Just because I remember a couple of years ago where I did start getting this fascination for Superman 64 again. So I started looking up old videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and people speedrunning it. And that game is so broken. Like just everything you can do in that game, even if you're not trying to, it's just my God.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to play a good Superman game, play The Death of Superman on the Sega Genesis. It's a fighting game.
Yeah.
It's really good. No, it's not a fighting game. It's a beat 'em up. It's a side scroll. It's a beat 'em up. Yeah, I liked it.
It's definitely.
I love all those old school beat 'em ups. Like that's all you got to tell me, and I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm sold right away.
And the Superman one was great. I mean, it was a really cool game. I mean, play it, emulate it. Don't buy it now. It's too expensive.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we're like mostly. I say mostly just because 90% of a library doesn't consist of it anymore. But like, I'm just glad that we're mostly out of that. Like every week a new licensed game was coming out because they're like, how many copies we can sell? This is a big enough property. Where like even if we make the game in 2 weeks, a la ET, then
what about Cool Spot for the Genesis and the NES? That was a 7-Up game. I mean,
Oh my God. And then Pepsi Man. Everybody
Pepsi Man. Well, that was in Japan of all places. Yeah. It's like
so many crazy games like that they did that all the time. And don't get me started on the ones on like Game Boy and Game Boy Color and stuff. I think the last time we really saw like a huge influx of that was like the Nintendo DS. Because if you look at the Nintendo DS library, especially if you go to like the 99-cent bin at like GameStop or something, they're all DS games first of all, and they're all some crappy licensed, My Little Pony or some SpongeBob nonsense or
the DS and the Wii were like that. It was just like it was popular. Let's just throw something out there real quick to make a quick buck.
PS1, PS2 have plenty of like franchise lower tier games. Popular stuff.
But the DS and Wii just took it to a whole new level. They're just like, give us anything and everything. You have 3 days of development experience. Oh, absolutely, go for
it. Come on, crack out this game. Barbie something. It's terrible.
We need an Arby's game quick. We need an Arby's game quick. Let's crank it out. It'll take 2 weeks. It'll be fine. It's no big deal.
I was thinking about Arby's today.
On 360.
Man, I remember buying. I bought them. It was like
I bought them too.
Yeah, I mean, Sneak King wasn't bad.
It was right.
It was fine. I mean, for a $5 game, a $5 physical game on top of it.
I think the one I played the most was probably the racing one because I remember buying that with my friends after we got Burger King and we went back home. We had the crowns on, played the same 2 tracks over and over again. That's all it was.
Big bumping, and there's a third one too.
There was a third one, yeah. There was a stealth one, there was a race one, and then I don't remember what the third one was.
Yeah, I can't remember what the third one was either. What was that? See, now I've got to look it up. because I don't remember.
Did it come with a free Whopper? You buy the game coupon for a free sandwich.
No, I don't remember what it came with. I just remember going through the drive-thru. We didn't buy anything. We just bought the games.
There was the bumper car game and the pocket bike racing game.
Pocket bike racing. Yeah.
That was like some Excite Bike.
You can buy the 3-game collection on Amazon right now for $9.95 if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Wonder if those are backwards compatible on
I was gonna say,
Series X.
I don't think they are, but I think it'd be easier just to see if we can just tweet Phil Spencer and just be like, "Hey, you missed one.
Yeah,
you missed the most important one of them all."
We need these. These are important. We can't let the world forget that there was Burger King.
Might not want to do that. He might hurt his eyes rolling them too hard.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, he might actually. So. But all right, well, let's get started. Talking about what we've been playing. I will say I played Sea of Thieves this week. Even though I was in a hotel room, I thought, let me try it on hotel Wi-Fi and see how this goes. Pulling 10 megs.
Not just Sea of Thieves, it looks like Sea of Thieves 64.
Oh,
that's what it says.
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, I wonder how weird. How weird. How odd.
I mean, you know how it is. Banjos and Smash is on the Nintendo Switch. And, everybody's crossing over.
It's crazy. They're all trying to cash in on the on the latest thing. But
Microsoft and they're buddies. So
why not? But actually, it wasn't too bad playing it, even though every once in a while I would be walking and then all of a sudden I would appear 10 feet somewhere else. Yeah, but it was just every once in a while. It wasn't like it happened every single time. It was like, well, all right, let's go. But, I played it for at least 2 nights, and it worked fine, even though the internet wasn't great. Nobody else was on, so... And if anybody else tried to attack me, it probably would have been like... So I was just like, let's just see what happens on the... I don't usually play anything on hotel Wi-Fi, so it was like, let's see what happens. Sure, it worked out fine.
Is there a sort of... it's weird to word this, but let me just ask it. Is there like an offline mode yet?
No. No, it's all online. Okay.
Because I didn't know if they even though it was maybe... So, but is there like a pseudo offline also, like how Ubisoft does it, where it's just like, look, we still need you to connect to the internet, but you can play by yourself?
No, it's all connected servers and online only. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I figured that would probably be nice for hotel Wi-Fi like that too. If you can't really play with anybody else, at least you can still, log on and have a mostly stable, seamless experience because you're just kind of going in for the quick checkup, to give the okay that you can get it.
But I mean, even with the hotel Wi-Fi, it was fine. I mean, if anything, the TV in the hotel was the problem because it was like, they don't give you a remote where you have a menu button where you can go in and tweak settings to make it darker or brighter or this or that. And that. So it was like when it got night, it was like, oh crap, it's really dark. I can't see anything.
That's hard to see. Yeah. And you've been bringing your Series S with you now, right?
Yeah, I have, and it's been working really well. I've been very pleased with it.
It's a great system,
especially traveling. It's just, I traveled with the Series X last year, and I mean it was fine, but it's heavy, it's big, I didn't really like lugging it around because it was, I was always treating it with white gloves. Oh, I don't want to scratch it. I don't want to, drop it. But shoot, this Series S, it's like it's nothing. I mean, the case that I carry it in weighs more than the system does. I think, because it's still the same. I can still use the same case that I use to carry my Series X around in. I just put the foam back in it to adjust it to make it fit the Series S and go. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. And playing in a hotel room on a 1080p TV or sometimes on a 4K if they have one, it's been fine. I mean, I've enjoyed it.
It's a great little system. It really is. I mean, just the fact that it's $300 and gives you that entrance to next gen is a steal. It's incredible. It really
well, and going back between the systems with that memory unit thing. That thing is awesome because I can just pop it out, pop it in. I don't even have any games installed on the system. They're all just on that memory card. And pop it in, and it just runs, like it's installed internally because it's...
What do they... They just sell 2 terabytes of those cards, right? That's it?
It's 1 terabyte, and then the 2 terabytes and the 512 are coming if they're not already out. They may already be out.
512.
Yeah. So.
Well, the 512 will make things a lot more palatable for people because $200, not a lot of people want to shell off that money for that.
What's the one is 200, right? And then the 2 is going to be 300.
It's 220, but a lot of times I got mine on sale for like 154 or something like that. I mean, I got it.
Really I got mine cheaper than that.
Well, yeah, you got yours for about $100. So
slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you shop around, occasionally they go on sale, but
yeah.
2 terabytes nice, but I just can't.
No, I'm not spending $400 on one or $300, however much.
I think you'd be better off just get another Series S, put it on the other side of the house or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
where's my pass-through cable?
At that, it's like if I had a Series S and I wanted that much terabyte, I would just get an external and just move things back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And I could do that even in the with the hotel, but at the same time, it's like, man, I've got the memory card. I might as well just move. Plus, when you move it, you're not downloading saves from the internet. It's on that memory card and then backed up to the cloud. Then you plug it in. It's like all the saves already there, so it doesn't have to connect. So if you're somewhere where you can't get Wi-Fi,
that 2 terabyte is 400.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I bet the 512 will be at about $100.
I
bet a lot of people get the 512.
Yeah. That would be. I think that's reasonable, and also for the Series S, that would be perfect because then you could bump yourself up to that solid, comfortable 1 terabyte with that 512. So spending an extra $100 for that, I would have no problem with that personally.
Sorry, all I can think about is 2 Series S's next to each other, crossover cable to pass through. They're connected.
Well, I've got 7 games installed on this one, and then my other games are installed on this one. So if I want to play Call of Duty, I have to hook up the other Series S because it was cheaper to buy a Series S than it was a memory card. So.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, actually.
Hey, let's play some Call of Duty. Hang on, I just need to hook up the other Series S. Let me swap systems for a second. You have a marker on it. It was a sticker to tell you which one's which. Yeah. Or a post-it note with what games are on which one, so you don't get them mixed up.
Just make it look like a data center, but with Series S's. Just have
oh man,
that's it with just Ethernet.
Like if you're gonna do that, you better have some sort of fun switcher that makes it easy for you. Because if you're gonna have that much trouble, then you might as well go that extra bit and engineer something.
Which one is this one? I don't know. It's somewhere between HDMI 2 and 12.
Yeah. Be like, and I don't know if you guys ever remember. You might. I don't know if they still had these when you guys were younger, but when the Sega Genesis and the Master System, NES and stuff were out, you go into Toys R Us or Children's Palace or wherever you did your shopping, and they would have a system set up with a TV and a game selector with 10 games on it, so you could pick what games you wanted. And it wasn't. If you've ever looked them up, they're not on a single chip. It's actually like a big box with all 10 games plugged into it, and you're manually hitting the buttons to switch to those games. They are fantastic. They were really cool looking. And of course, they were never available, to purchase because they were a retail thing. But some people have gotten a hold of them after those systems disappeared and the stores closed. They're really expensive, but you could put whatever 10 games you wanted in it, and then you could play them, and people would come in, the reps would come in and change the games out. So but it was like a jukebox. I mean, it was big. It was like this big, and had big buttons on the front of it. I'll have to look it up because every once in a while one hits eBay, and they usually sell for like $1,000. So yeah, they're really expensive. Cool, yeah, it was really neat for the time. This was like 89, 90. So it's like you didn't have multi-flash cards. You had to have a way to have 10 games there to play.
I wonder how long they were doing stuff like that then, because then when you think about it, I mean, really, it wasn't until maybe the PS2 era, that generation of consoles, so GameCube, PS2, and the original Xbox, where you had enough space on a DVD where you could fit, so long as they were small enough, demos of certain games. So I wonder if they did similar things for PS1 and 64, where, like setups at like Blockbuster, for example, had, sort of a way to sort of quickly switch between all of those, demos or games.
Cartridge games were weird back then. I'll have to look.
Even now, you see all these games coming out on the Switch. They're just like, by the way, a gig of this game is on the cartridge, and the other 50 you have to download.
Yeah, and I don't know. Don't get me started on that because I see so many people complaining about Xbox selling games that aren't on discs and stuff like that. Like Nintendo's doing it too. This whole never mind. I'll go into this big tirade about preservation and blah, 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 blah. And look, everybody's doing it. You might think that Sony, look at Sony, they're putting the entire game of the Uncharted 4 Legacy Collection. It's all on a disc, and you can play it offline. I can play my Xbox offline, and I download games. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. What do you all even... I can do the same thing with my stupid Switch. I mean, the Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection's coming out. Yep. The only game that's on there is 2. You know, if you want to download the other 2, you want the other 2, you have to download them with the code that comes with the cartridge. I mean... Yeah.
Same thing happened with the Rebel Collection too. I think only 4 is on the cartridge, and then Rogue you have to download. So, same thing with BioShock. I think only half of 1 is actually on there. Then the rest you have to actually download. And then, like XCOM, none of it's on there. I think. I'm not sure. It's weird. But yeah, it's a cartridge. I don't know. I just feel like if there's like, what's the cartridge for? If you can give me just a slip of paper and it would accomplish the same thing, it just kind of drives me crazy to a degree. But but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't mind really at the end of the day how people consume their media. I've just slowly but surely kind of gone over to the digital side of things. My only issue is that, I still like to get physical games, not only because number one, they look nice on a shelf, but depending on, because it can go either way. Sometimes, I go where the deals go. It's what I've always said, right? So, like, if a game is cheaper digitally, I'll get it digitally. If a game is cheaper physically, then I'll get it physically. It just, I'm going where the deals go. What goes on sale first? Is it on sale on the eShop first or at Best Buy first? That's it.
Right.
So that's all I care about, really.
Yeah,
so.
And it's fine. I mean, I don't know. People are weird. I understand the whole digital thing. But, if it's not for you, it's not for you. One of the other things, I've been playing a lot of the Oculus last weekend. I got a new insert yesterday for review. It has vents on it, so your face doesn't get hot. But the other thing is I wear glasses, and VR Wave reached out and sent me inserts. And they're lens inserts that I can pull in and out of my glasses prescription. So I don't have to wear my glasses, yet other people could still use my Oculus, like Nikki or whatever.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and you just drop them in there. They're just magnetic. They just clip right in, and you're good to go. It's not having to wear my glasses playing this thing is weird, because I'm a guy who's wore my glasses since I was 10 years old every day. Right. And to be able to pop these on, take my glasses off, pop it on, and actually see things is pretty cool. And what was it? I just realized the other day I was playing the Star Wars game. The
Moderns?
No, the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge game.
Oh.
And I realized, and I didn't think about it at the time, I was using a controller to move around. And it's very disorienting if you're standing and you're moving a stick and the whole thing's moving and you're not moving. And I realized the other day, I was like, you know what? Let me try to walk around the room. Yeah, I don't have to move the stick. I could just walk around anywhere in the room. If I want to walk through that door, if my room's big enough, I can just walk through that door. It's like, oh, yeah. So now my whole attitude has changed about what I'm going to do with the other side of the basement here at the game room. It's like, oh, I'm going to make another whole game room. And I think I'm just going to clear it out and have a big VR room.
Just put some padding on the walls just in case, and then you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can map it out. You can map it out with the Oculus of your, the play area. So if you get too close to the edge, you'll get the red screen of death that'll come up and go, hey, you're going too far. But I was like, man, maybe I'll do that instead of making it all nice and entertainment. To be like, look at this big empty room you got. You need to fill it up. Oh, no. This is my VR room. This is my holodeck where I just put on some goggles and all of a sudden I enter.
Oh, dude. You should paint it like that, where it have the stripes and stuff, like you'd have in an old Star Trek show.
That would be cool.
And like do a fancy door for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, now you're giving me.
You make this empty room look cooler than it actually is.
Yeah. Well, it's like
from context.
What's funny is I mean, this other side of the room that we're going to do something with, game room, whatever, is literally the over half the size of the house. It's the living room, the kitchen. And 2 bedrooms. So, it's like we got this big open space, and like right now, all we have is just, trash in there. Just boxes where we've moved in and like never unpacked.
They stopped putting the trash out to be picked up. They just throw it in.
Yeah, we just throw it down the basement. So it's like, man, why don't I do that? So, but I don't know. I totally forgot that was something in VR you could do, because I'm so used to playing PlayStation VR, whether you're tethered to a wire, that it's like, oh yeah, I can walk around freely in this room and just, oh, there's a TV, bam, oh, okay, I walked a little too far, I tapped the TV, so yeah, it's like, but yeah, the glasses thing is really awesome. I'm gonna write a review up for them, but the VR Wave things, if you wear glasses, it depends on your prescription, but I mean, they're pretty affordable. I mean, it's, simple to get done, and it makes a world of difference.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. The other, I'm going to have Nikki probably end up ordering one, so and she can plop hers in there. So she has a little better eyesight than I do, though. She still wears glasses, but hers was better. She's not blind like I am when I take my glasses off. I mean, I wear 2 pop bottles, so that's how thick it is. But the other game that I've played probably the most of this week is a game called Foreclosed. I'd never heard of it, and back around Christmas, Danny put up on Twitter that it was pretty good, so I picked it up. It was on sale for like $10, and I picked it up on Xbox, and it's like a cyberpunk comic book game. It reminds me a lot of 13, the way it's drawn. It's all comic book. It's the cutscenes are told in comic panels, and the voice acting is not very good. It's really not. The lead guy that you are, his voices, all the other voices seem to be pretty good, but he's not that great. But I mean, I guess it's fine. But I prefer, he'd walk in a room and go, I would say, it's like he's really trying hard to be this gritty voice that he really can't do very well. But yeah, it's I like it. It's really cool. It's got a lot of shooting and minor puzzle solving. The puzzle solving is usually, you have 4 things. It's either up, down, left, or right. And it's you got to do it quick enough, and you got to do it in a quick enough order. But yeah, I mean, for as cheap as it is, it's a really cool game. But the whole premise is everybody's augmented, and they're owned by a company that owns the augment, so they own you. And the whole premise of the game is the company that he worked for went bankrupt. So he is foreclosed on. So he's got to go from his house to the judge to figure out what's going to happen. And like, if he deviates from those things, he runs into this big red wall and stuff like that. But actually what happens is the person who invented the implant that he has, because it ends up finding out it's a special implant that only certain people had, and all the people that had it before were killed except for you. So you're trying to get to the creator so you can find out what's going on while trying not to get killed. And it's not like a groundbreaking game, but for $10, well, it's a decent game. I mean,
it doesn't sound bad at all. You said you got it on Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was thinking about getting it on Switch. I saw it was on sale for
it's on Switch too. It's actually on sale on Steam for like $5 right now.
Okay,
it's really cheap on PC. But yeah, I picked it up on Xbox, and then Amazon had the physical copy for like $15. So I went
saw
ahead.
that too.
Yeah, I went ahead and ordered the physical copy just to have it. I was like, $15.
That's what I was thinking about too, because I saw that it was 15, like on Switch, also like physically, and I was like,
yeah.
It was kind of tempting, but
yeah, I mean, for
too much play
$15,
at the moment.
I mean, I would. I mean, just to have it on a cartridge, I mean, it's worth it, and it's not a long game. I think it's only about 4 hours. I've
Okay,
probably
sure.
played it for like 3, so I'm probably real close to the end. But you know, I definitely recommend picking up. It's a fun game. It's done by it's published by Merge Games, so they did like what was
I
it?
can't remember if it was Merge or Modus.
No, it was Merge. So they did like they've done a lot of small games like that Alex Kidd remake, and
I like Merge a lot, actually.
yeah. They have Sparklight. That's the one they did that I really like. Sparklight was really
That's
cool.
a really good one.
So,
Yeah.
but as far as like the actual developer, I have no idea how. Yeah, it's Anatab Studios. I don't know how big they are.
Yeah, I know. Did we ever review Foreclosed? I can't remember if we did. But I do remember getting an offer for it. I turned it down though, because at that time it was just way too much going on. Like I really wanted to. But
too busy.
yeah, I had to. It was unfortunately one of those ones I had to, make a cut with. So,
Yeah.
so
I
even
don't know if we
though
did
it was
or not. No, it's not showing up on the search of the site. So
okay.
I don't know if maybe we've, maybe had got an offer for it, but I don't remember getting an offer for it. But yeah, I mean, especially if you want to get it on Steam for $5, $5 is cheap. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I need to finish it. It's like I said, I can't be far from the end, just by
Nice
looking at
short.
yeah, and that's kind of what I've been happy with is the shortness of it. The gunplay is not the greatest. I find a lot of the enemies are bullet sponges, and I am paper thin, so it's usually one of those things where I hide behind a wall and wait for him to reload, and then hop out real quick and try to shoot him in the head. At least with headshots, it's a one-shot kill, but if you shoot him in the chest, it's yeah, you're just gonna stand there and waste a bunch of bullets. Luckily, you don't have ammo. You have unlimited ammo, but yeah, it's a cool game. I like the style. Like I said, it reminds me of 13 with the comic book all told and stuff, cell shaded.
I usually really like that aesthetic if it's done well. Like 13 did it well, and what was that other one by Suda 51, Killer 7? I think.
Killer 7. Yeah.
I like that game a whole lot, man. Killer 7's awesome. Like the moment that became backwards compatible on Xbox One, I was just like, I was like, let me get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right away, bought it. So.
Yeah, I like that one too. But yeah, this if you like that style of game, I mean, I'm not going to try to sell it as it's the next huge, game like that. But I mean,
14. Let me tell you.
Yeah. But it's still worth a play. The story is interesting enough, and you got upgrades as you go through, and I mean, and it's not a ton of upgrades. That's how I know I've got to be getting close to the end because I've maxed out everything pretty quick. So, but.
Some games are weird like that though. Like when I was playing Halo Infinite, I beat it, but like maybe when I was halfway through the game, if that, I had already maxed out all the upgrades that you could do for Master Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I was playing much differently from everybody else. I wasn't just because of how like immersive I felt with Halo Infinite. I mean, I was going anywhere and everywhere, collecting everything. Like if I saw a little blip on the map, I went there immediately. I was like, the story can be put on hold. So I was collecting all the upgrades and stuff like that. And I just, you feel like a powerhouse by the end of it. But I think it's great when you're someone like Master Chief because you're this. This
you're supposed to be
Marine, the super Marine. Like it's so you feel like such a badass by the end of it. But it's not without challenge though. They don't just hand it to you. Like Halo Infinite was so good. But anyway, I digress.
I'm going to be, and I'm wondering how that's going to work. How they're going to do that with with Horizon.
Forbidden West?
Yeah, she had by the end of the game, by the end of the first one, Horizon Zero Dawn, you had all these upgrades, you had all these cool weapons and stuff like that. How's that going to work? How are they going to do that in the new one? If are you starting over, or do you have those and just have more upgrades? That's what I always wonder, how they do things.
Stuff like that's always interesting to me, just because like when there's a sequel for games like that, that's supposed to be like serialized. Also, it feels weird starting from the bottom again,
Right.
just because it's just like, well,
I lost all my stuff, and now I've got to do it all
canonically. Canonically speaking, like I thought, I got.
That happens all the time in a lot of game series, though.
Like, I know.
It does.
It's baked in. I don't know. I would, with the way that like Horizon specifically would go, I would bet that you just have it won't feel that weird, because a lot of the upgrades were just slightly better versions of a weapon, and then you built that up, but you still have the same weapon, and it just had a couple of like elemental damages that you could add onto it. So you'll probably start with some things, and maybe some of the things that you had to unlock skills wise in the first game you'll just start with, and then anything you unlock in that one will be like new skills, because lots of games kind of like that style have done that in the past. Like you keep some of the things from the first game, so don't feel like you're starting all the way over, but then new things are things that you end up having to unlock.
Yeah.
That would be my bet. We'll see in a few weeks.
Yeah. I'm just anxious to see how they do that. That's like Dennis said. That's one of the things that that always interests me in games like that, especially game episodic. I don't want to say episodic games, but games that are connected. It's not like it's
like serialized. Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like I understand, like games do it all the time, like Nintendo was saying, and it never surprises me. But that thought is always in the back of my head of just like, here we go again.
Yeah.
What if the next Mario game he had to unlock jumping?
And I'm trying to remember what games those were that I've played that are like that. And then you start out at the beginning, and then all of a sudden you're like a real badass, able to do this and that and that and this, and then something happens like in the first 5 minutes, and they take all your powers, and you have to go back. And I know I'm talking of a dozen games. But there's one that really sticks out in my head that I can't remember right off the top of my brain.
Stuff like that I usually don't mind as much, because then there is a story purpose to it versus just hitting new game and then starting back, is all your abilities are back at zero again. Like it's one thing if a story is just like, here's this new evil guy, they do this kind of thing like Sylar from Heroes, and they're just like, they kind of take all your powers and
that's a trope that's used even in like the first games of a series. So something like a prototype or anything like that type of a game where you have a bunch of powers. They want you to have them all at the beginning and then take them away so that you can maybe see a taste of what you get to do later.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. I think I know, what was it? I feel like a Darksiders game has done that, actually. One of the Darksiders games.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It seems like something real that it was like, they're going to do that. Take it all away, and then I got to earn it all back. It's like,
because they make you feel like a god in the beginning, but then once you do, because it's meant to kind of also be like a tutorial without explicitly stating it's a tutorial. Where it's just like, go crazy, hit all these buttons, you'll figure out what they do, and then we're going to take that away from you and then give it to you again little by little, so you can be more refined and more sophisticated with them. So,
so I'm always interested to see how games end up pulling that off. So, but because sometimes some of them are real different. But we'll see. Other than that, that is all that I've been playing. Not too much. Nathaniel, have you? Well, I see you got Metroid Dread on there. Did you just buy that, or did you?
I just bought that today. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I thought you hadn't played it.
I've not played it yet, and I've played it for like an hour. I'd played like a bit of the demo before.
Okay.
So today I was playing like, here's the demo area, and then a bit past it, so I've not gotten that far into it.
All right, I got
So as far as Metroid Dread goes, I've played probably about an hour. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that. So I beat the tutorial Emmy, and then the first real one. It got like the magnet thing that lets you climb on the blue walls. That's as far as I am.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
So,
I know what you're.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to talk about other than like, Metroid Dread's cool. I've played that like a very tiny percentage of it so far.
Cool.
I've been kind of bouncing around. I haven't played as much games in the past couple of weeks as I had been, and I've been doing a few that I didn't even list on here because I play them for like half an hour, and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood for this. I'll try it again later, kind of thing. So I hadn't played a bunch that like I could actually talk about. I was just like, oh nah, I'm not feeling it, so I'll do it another time. Several of those. It's just one of those times where it's just like, I want to play something. No, I'm not feeling that one. I'm not feeling that one either.
I mean, it happens.
Can't settle on anything.
Yeah.
I did, however, finish God of War on PC. I did not 100% it because I've done that in the past. So I just finished the story and all the like main side quest stuff. There's a couple like things towards the end I did not do, but I probably 80%ed it, something like that.
Yeah.
And like I said last time, it's a very pretty game that's very pretty on PC. It's really good.
Well.
And then since we're about just less than a month away now from the next FromSoft game when Elden Ring comes out, I was like, I'm in a FromSoft mood. So I've played a few hours of Sekiro as well. Nice. Replaying that game.
Yeah.
Because it's got, it's the most unique of all of their games as far as how the combat works. It's very different. It's like, what's a FromSoft game with no stamina bar? What?
Yeah, I mean, even I really liked it, and I'm not usually into games like that, but Sekiro I thought was awesome.
Sekiro is amazing and is the hardest game that they've made. Depending on what kind of player you are. It depends on what kind of player you are, because you could find it a lot easier depending on how you play the other ones. So if you're someone who likes to, use a shield a lot in some of the other games and do the parrying, then Sekiro almost comes naturally to you. You just adjust a bit to the differences, but you're already like, muscle memory into like, I want to hit the shield button, which is the parry button basically in Sekiro. But if you're someone who's like, I'm rolling around like a crazy person to dodge all the time, Sekiro punishes the crap out of you for doing that too much. You can get away with it in certain situations, and there are some things where you're supposed to do like side steps, but there are enemies specifically designed to be like, no, if you're going to be trying to roll dodge all the time, I'm just going to like kill you. You're dead. You got to learn to like, deflect and put up a defense and break my posture so that then you can, get that death blow in, Yeah. And like, I think Sekiro has probably the best roster of just like boss fights. Not that like every FromSoft game has great bosses, but just almost all of them in Sekiro are really, really fun to do. Even some of the early ones that are just kind of simple. But yeah, I've done, I don't know, maybe probably about 5 or 6 hours, which if it was a first time playthrough would be like 10, because you wouldn't have known what you're doing. Because I'm like, I know how to do this. Run main line over like, I want to go fight this guy, so I'm gonna go specifically go through this, this area so I can do that. But
what are you picking up Elden Ring on? Are you getting it on PC or?
I haven't decided yet, because suppose they haven't like specifically completely said, but it looks like it was supposed to be like targeting 60 frames per second on consoles on Series X and stuff. So I might buy it there so I can play it on my TV, but that's kind of wishy-washy information, and who knows if it'll actually keep it 60, so I might wait and see if they say, how well it runs before I decide to buy it. I've almost bought it on Steam a few times, like for the PC version. I'm like, well, man, I don't know. It's a big game with like big vistas and like the open world part of it. So I figured that might be fun to do on a big screen TV instead of on my PC, but I don't know. I'll get it one of those two places probably.
I'm interested, but you know how I feel about Souls games anymore. I don't really care for them, but I'm interested in this one. So I'm.
Yeah, well, supposedly they're trying to say like this is going to be the one that's the most approachable because of the open world part. So we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm going to wait and see, and get some reviews and see what you think of it, because I know you being a big fan of those games.
I will be playing it for sure.
Yeah, you'll be playing it for sure. So,
and Horizon will get dumped after a week. As much as I love Horizon, Jim's like, no, it's a FromSoft game. We got to play it.
Well,
I'll probably bounce back and forth between both of them, actually.
Yeah. But. Well, it's like I've got Horizon pre-ordered. Yeah, I pre-ordered the collector's edition or the limited edition, whatever the steelbook one was. When I saw the steelbook, I went, "Yeah, I gotta have the steelbook." So, because I'm a sucker for steelbooks. But it's
like two games that I love. Like I love FromSoft games, and I love the first Horizon. So like those two games coming out within a week of each other, like come on, man.
Well, what's bad is I'll pick it up and I'll probably play my my Series S during the week in the hotels, and then on the weekends come home and play Horizon on the PlayStation 5. It's like maybe that's how I'll do it, because it's like I'm not gonna. I could take the PlayStation 5 with me, but I really don't feel like lugging it with me. So. But it's like, I'm still going to buy it on launch, even though I probably won't play it for a little while. But it's usually what I do with games. Oh, this new game came out. Let me buy it. And then that's great. Set it on the shelf. Let me install it so I can get all the updates and everything. Okay, let me put it back on the shelf. I'll get it at some point. Then a year or 2 years later, it's like, oh, yeah, I still need to play that game. I haven't played that game yet.
You need a specific shelf that is just for games that you've bought that you're not going to play for 2 years.
Yeah. I need a schedule, and I need to stick with it. I need to set and go, okay, this day is this game, this day is this game, or this week is this game, and then stick to it. But sticking to it is always the hard thing. So.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new and flashy coming out that I go, ooh, I've got to try that, and I play it for a few minutes.
It doesn't help, then Game Pass isn't helping either.
No, Game Pass is not helping.
We have more games for you, and they're all great.
Yeah, well, it's like I sat down the other day. I was like, I think I may play some Ghost of Tsushima a little bit. And I sat down and went, oh crap, I don't remember how to do anything. Let me look at okay. And I went, never mind. I'll come
back.
I'll come back.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. So is that it? The God of War. Wow, you do have a small list this week.
I played like half an hour of a few other things, but not really. It's like, hey, I played this and this, but that's it. There's a title.
Yeah, that'd be about it. I understand. Dennis has the biggest list, so we'll let him go next.
A fairly big list over the course of the last couple of weeks. It probably wouldn't have been this big if we had done a podcast last week, but the last couple of days been kind of just been playing the smaller stuff and via Game Pass and just beating games too. There's some games that are here that are like crossed over too from prior episodes or prior podcasts that we've done also, but this is just me either playing the full release or beating them basically. Right. But starting off, I got to finish / start. I got to finish Famicom Detective Club: The Missing Heir. Finished that sometime last week. That was awesome. Famicom Detective Heir came out, I want to say probably towards the beginning of 2021, and actually it wasn't until literally maybe 2 or 3 days after we did our top 10 for 2021 podcast or end of the year podcast where I was like, damn, I should have put that on the top 10 because I knew I was forgetting something, and there's always that one that you forget, mm-hmm. but that was one that was I knew there was one, and that was the one, because that game is fantastic. It released as a double pack. Number 1 being The Missing Heir, and part 2 being The Girl Who Stands Behind. Now, technically, you can play them in any order that you want, but if you want the true order, from what I've been told, and just in how they were released initially in Japan, because as you can guess by it being called Famicom Detective Club, these are very old games that got remade. They were originally on the Famicom. So, but originally they were called Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 being The Missing Heir, as we know it, and Part 2 being The Girl Who Stands Behind. Now they're not labeled as that. It's just one is just has a red color with The Missing Heir, and then one has a blue color with The Girl Who Stands Behind. And you can technically play them in any order, but you appreciate it more, and you see the crossover more and the Easter eggs and the sort of references if you play Missing Heir first and then The Girl Who Stands Behind. So
I did that badly. They should have done The Girl Who Stands Behind The Missing Heir, so it makes a whole sentence.
That's true. That's true. That would have been great, actually. Yeah. I'll file a complaint. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
But it's great though. I beat The Missing Heir last week finally. I got the game last year, and it was hard to put down for a while, but the game is not like other visual novels, right? Because it has that detective aspect to it, you are going to be having something that's a little more in-depth than, say, something like Ace Attorney, right? Or like Hotel Dusk, or games like that where you need to just sort of inspect an environment. It goes deeper than that, right? Like you don't just hit talk to somebody. Like if you talk to them, there's a bunch of options that come up, then you can essentially interrogate them. So, and after a while, the options become you just have a plethora of options. Like we're talking, I mean, the most options I ever saw at one point talking to somebody was probably well over like 10 or 12 options. And you can ask them all these different things, right? And sometimes it's not as simple as just selecting one option one time, right? So, for example, if I wanted to ask you something about, where were you the day of, this person's murder, because I'm trying to see if you have an alibi, you would hit talk, and then you would select alibi, right? And but they might have other options, right? Where you hit talk and then almost like a subfolder will come up, and one of them is alibi, the other one is what they know, the third one is maybe somebody's name to see if you're trying to get more information about a certain person or a certain thing, so on and so forth. And then they tell you where they were and stuff like that. But sometimes that's not enough. So you'll have to click the same thing once again, and sometimes even 3, even 4 times to really get the most out of somebody. So you really have to pay attention. There's always cues, there's always hints and stuff, but you really have to pay attention, and it really makes you feel like I think like a detective sometimes, compared to other games where it's not just as simple as select it, and then eventually through trial and error you'll get it eventually. Like this, like you actually have to put some thought into the inputs, even though it is a visual novel and you are simply selecting certain text. There's a sequence to this text that you have to make sure that you get, and then in doing that you'll kind of get more information that way and properly just deduce everything that's kind of going on. So but yeah, anyways, I had a little bit of trouble with the first one. Like there was a couple times where I had to look up on certain chapters, like where do I go next, because there's a travel button also, and you can go to different locations, if you want to go back to speak to somebody or just inspect an area or stuff like that. Yeah, it's just a super in-depth visual novel, and I think for people who maybe they don't like visual novels in general, they haven't played very many, this is one that I highly recommend anyone to get into, because I think it is accessible, but it's not without it's not going to be as simple as just pressing A. Like you are going to have to pay attention to the story and everything that's going on. But thankfully there's a notepad also, so you can always look back through your notes and all the information's there. And then if you were to like exit the game and come back, whenever you load your save file again, it does ask you, hey, do you want a recap of the story so far? And it'll tell you everything that's going on. So even if you don't play for a while, like I didn't, because I took a break for like maybe 3 months, and then I came back and I was immediately brought back up to speed, no problems.
Yeah, see, I like that.
Yeah,
I wish more games did that.
me too. Me too.
Especially RPGs, when I walk away for a long time and then come back,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I don't even remember where I was at. Let me start over again.
Yeah. Let me go through these 60 hours once again. Yeah, no, like that needs it the most. And honestly, like if you get everything in like one shot, you can actually run through those games in maybe 5 hours. They're not long, but the first one actually took me probably the better part of 25 hours, because I'm over here, I'm trying to properly investigate and stuff like that. And I don't know what I'm doing right yet. So, but now with the second one, The Girl Who Stands Behind, now that I know how the game works, how it flows, what to look out for, stuff like that, I've had no problems so far. I'm already on chapter. I've only put maybe 2 hours into it so far, 2 to 3 hours, and I'm already on chapter like 5 or 6, and there's usually 11 chapters, so there was, I think, 11 or 12 chapters in the first one as well, and when I double checked for this one, there was about roughly the same. So I'm already almost halfway through the game after 2 hours, compared to 25 hours of the first one, so and again, they're the same length. It's just a matter of how you play it, and the sequence of how you're trying to interrogate these people and stuff like that. So but it's also, the production value is just incredible also, right? Because visual novels, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, especially if they're very kinetic, they tend to, when you see pictures of visual novels, it's usually it's a static image of a character next to another character, maybe with a background. That's really it, and now, not to say there's a problem with that. There's a lot of great visual novels that do that. Case in point, we reviewed it a while back, the house in Fata Morgana, right? Like that game is just like that. It's a kinetic visual novel, but like, man, what a masterpiece of a game that is. But yeah, it's not much. It's just a bunch of illustrations that are just kind of put one next to another. But this one's different. This one it's almost like half animated, right? Where like, you are going to have people standing next to each other, but they do blink, right? And they do move. And when they're talking, their mouths do move. And, you see stuff happening in the background. If you're outdoors, it doesn't always have to pertain to what's happening either. You can even just sit there idle reading the same sentence, and maybe birds will fly by if you're outdoors, stuff like that. So everything is constantly feeling animated, feeling alive, and it increases that sense of immersion also. And sometimes you have those cutscenes within the dialogue where, it's full on animated. Somebody's maybe running from somebody, right? Or somebody's, maybe something falls down, or, somebody's trying to get your attention, right? And you're turning it around and stuff like that. Sometimes it's first person, sometimes it's third person. It's just really, really well done, really high quality, and super interactive that way, and immersive. And I honestly can't recommend it enough. It's such a high quality, highly polished visual novel, and this is a game that's developed and published purely by Nintendo. So this isn't a second party game or something like that. Like, this is in-house. This is from Nintendo. This is a remake of their old game from the Famicom, and I mean, it's just beautiful. And like, I just having seen this, because I don't think I've ever seen or even heard of a visual novel by Nintendo prior to this,
Not that I
so
can ever remember. No.
yeah. So now that I know that they can do it, and then the way that they do it, it's like, I want it. I want more. I want them to like kind of really just go into this genre more, because it kind of shows that they definitely have a knack for it. And yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. I can't recommend those games enough, especially if you love murder mysteries and things like that. Like, man, those games knock it out of the park, especially with that production value. It's phenomenal. And each one by itself is $34.99, but you can get the double pack, I believe, for $60. But even if you buy just one, now $34.99, if you buy both of them separately, obviously you would think that's $70, but you do get a $10 discount on the next one if you buy one of them digitally. They're not available physically, at least not in the West. You can probably get one from PlayAsia, but yeah. So either buy one, see how you like it, and then, or if you really think you're gonna really dive deep, just get the double pack and have the time of your life with this. So, but yeah, beat The Missing Heir, and started The Girl Who Stands Behind, and that's been a great time. So. After that, have been playing a little bit of Lake. Now, I got to play this last year. I got a private demo sent to me through LudoNeroCon, which was a convention, a virtual convention. I don't know. I can't remember if they had it physically, but with COVID and everything going on, there was a lot of stuff that was a lot of events that would typically require physical attendance. They moved a lot of that stuff to virtual. So. And this was one of them, and it was great. Got to speak to a lot of great people. Got to speak to the good folks from Button City, and there's another one like Beverly Creek or something like that, which is another sort of animal sort of infused game. It's like horror. Animal Crossing so but yeah, excited for that game. But this was one of them, though. It's called Lake, and played a demo of it on PC and then on Xbox, and it was cool. I mean, the concept of it was very, very simple, right? You play as this this male woman who moves to Oregon, I believe Portland, Oregon, and she's not necessarily starting a new life, but she goes there for the time being, but it's not really fully explained yet. But she has this job that she still has from where she's originally from, but she's just kind of going on break to take over her dad's old job, because she used to grow up there, and after not being there for like 20 plus years, she decided to come back and yeah, just kind of get away from everything for a change of scenery for a little bit. And So you're there, and yeah, you just kind of go around delivering packages and delivering mail. Just kind of, if you want to compare it to Death Stranding, go for it. But definitely a lot more grounded. It's nothing supernatural is happening here. It definitely feels like more of like a slice of life type game, right?
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's very much a slow burner. It's not meant to be, crazy action heavy. You just literally go around and you deliver mail, deliver packages. It's honestly very relaxing. So the world is big enough. It's not super polished. Like there's a lot of problems I have with it. Like collisions weird, right? Like I've run into a few stop signs and stuff like that, and that nothing happens to either of us. That stop sign is sturdy as can be. And my mail truck is not damaged whatsoever.
Right.
It's still in pristine condition. So things like that. But yeah, it's very, it's a slow burner. If you want something nice, slow, you just don't think too hard. Just kind of relax on the couch, pop this on, and go deliver some mail. And then in the meantime, you get to meet all the townsfolk and do requests for them as well. It's not, and it's not as simple as just like, hey, I got this package. You mind shipping this off for me? It's not that. You do get those, but honestly, it's just really getting to know the people and listening to their stories and. Maybe just sometimes you can hang out with them after you're done with everything and get a coffee, go to the diner. Yeah, it's just a nice little remote town that you just kind of chill and it's relaxing. But yeah, played the demo of that last year, and the full release came out maybe a couple weeks ago, and it did come out day and date on Xbox Game Pass. So I downloaded it and been playing that, a little bit of that, and it's about the same as the demo I played last year. Like honestly, I don't see anything different. But yeah, I mean that it's not really much to it. It's just a slice of life game that
I downloaded it. I haven't even booted it up yet, but I downloaded it. I kind of thought maybe it was like a Firewatchy type of game, but I wasn't real sure if it was anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't really compare. I can see where the comparisons would come from, like look like taking a glance at it.
Yeah.
But once you start playing it, it's honestly nothing like
it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a slow burner if you want something nice, chill, to just kind of you don't want to think much of it, but you can't really think of anything else to do. It's like the perfect game to pick up and kind of get lost in. So, yeah. Yeah, so in addition to that, let me just go through the Xbox Game Pass titles here. The also through Nathaniel's actually recommendation from the last podcast, actually I decided to download and play Gorogoa, and Gorogoa is awesome. Gorogoa is awesome. I beat it in one sitting. It took me about 2 hours. It wasn't long at all, but I beat it. Yeah, it was super chill. Like, man, what a great puzzle game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like what a fantastic puzzle game. At first I was confused because there's not much of a tutorial. It just kind of tells you how to slide the pieces. But then you start figuring out like these frames like essentially come apart, and it's cool how you can just disassemble and then reassemble these frames in a certain order to create new pictures or new pathways for this little character, because you kind of play, if you can call it that, as this little boy, and you're just trying to kind of make them go through panel to panel, basically. So you're trying to connect these pieces, but you're only ever within a 4-piece panel, and it doesn't grow. It's always just 4 pieces, but the way these frames sort of, like I said, disassemble and reassemble is so clever. It's so good. And it gets really challenging by the end too. I only ever had to look up one thing, maybe 2 things.
Right.
But I tried not to, because I'm very stubborn when it comes to puzzle games.
Nothing wrong with that, You spend 5 or 6 minutes, take a look.
Yeah. Oh no, it's much more than that. I'm stubborn, Eric. It's not 5 to 6 minutes.
I throw in the towel after 3 minutes. My game, examples where I was like, YouTube.
No, I don't know what it is with puzzle games. I have too much pride with them. I don't know why. I love puzzle games. So like literally, like if I'm an hour in, I'm not even joking. If I'm an hour in and I still can't figure it out, then that's when I'm just like, you know what? And even then, I still don't want to, but I swallow my pride and I'm just like, you know what? Just do it. You'll sleep better tonight.
Yeah.
So especially since like this was towards the end too, and I was just like, I'm right there.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
just
all
need to
right,
finish
yeah.
it, so
I gotta do it.
yeah, but man, it was just such a cathartic, peaceful experience, and so good, and just so clever. Like constantly, my mind was just being blown of just being like, oh my god, look at the way these pieces just kind of, I was like, oh, the way that works, and it's just like, oh, that's how you do that, and it's again, it doesn't really throw anything new at you. It's all a matter of logic because you always have the same 4 panels over and over again, but you're constantly moving them, assembling, reassembling, disassembling, and it's insane. It's insane, but it's so good. It's so good, and then it's an easy 1,000 gamer score also, or an easy platinum if you're on PlayStation, or easy 100% if you're on Steam. So highly, highly, highly recommended if you love puzzle games, especially ones that are short and sweet, kind of like the Pedestrian. Like like puzzle games have been killing it these last couple months. Like my god, like between the Pedestrian and just everything that's been coming to Xbox Game Pass, really. So highly recommend over the course of the last couple podcasts, Pedestrian, Gorogoa. Please do yourself a favor and check those out. And like I said, easy 1,000 gamer score as well. So really, you just beat the levels and then you're good to go. But yeah. Yeah, so in addition to that, I also finally talked about this on the last podcast, but I'm talking about it again because I finally beat The Artful Escape.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What a weird yet fantastic game. Like, it is so good. Like, it is so unique and so refreshing in that game. If you're a fan of rhythm games, even though it's not really a rhythm game, it's, don't go into it expecting some, it's not a Hatsune Miku, Project Diva, don't expect,
it's readily accessible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're only ever pressing a couple buttons, or you're just kind of following the buttons that are on screen too. Like, and they wait for you. It's not like, you have to hit it at a certain time.
It's pretty short too, like 4 hours, 5 hours, right?
It took me, I would say on average about, I think 5 hours would be a safe bet saying that. I'm sure you could beat it in like 3 to 4, honestly, but it took me probably the better part of closer to 5. And yeah, I got 1,000 gamer score for that. Also, that was an easy 100%. So yeah, I can't recommend that enough, man. It's another game published by Annapurna. I love those guys. They typically publish the great stuff. Definitely a lot of art, like a lot of artsy games.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, they don't. There's no games like the ones that they publish. I mean, they definitely publish very unique, and they're always highly, praised typically. Not always, but typically. We're talking about people who, they've published games like Florence, which is great. What Remains of Edith Finch, which is amazing. Artful Escape, obviously. They did Donut County, and just countless others. I mean, they're a really, really great publisher. They published what was it recently? 12 Minutes also. 12 Minutes was awesome.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? I forgot about that.
Yeah. So yeah, no, they're great. I think they're publishing. What was it? Neon White? Is that what the Neo White? But there's a new it's like a card-based sort of parkour game that's like super, like the art style is insane. It's not out yet, but they're publishing that. Really excited for that one. But yeah, no, Artful Escape, fantastic. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Do yourself a favor and please check that one out. The art direction is absolutely incredible. I kept being reminded of Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I talked about it a couple times too, especially when I came back from PAX East last time.
Yeah,
I got a chance to demo it, and I was like, "This is going to be something kind of fun. This is a different sort of indie game than everything you have out there." And I think I only played it for like 15 to 20 minutes, but it definitely left an impression on me.
Oh yeah,
I have it on my Xbox. I haven't played it yet, but I'll get to it.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor. Definitely, make the time for it. It doesn't ask for too much of your time either. Even if you're only ever doing one chapter at a time, because those chapters kind of go pretty quick. But man, yeah, the art direction is fantastic. Every environment you go to is beautiful, and I mean beautiful. Like it's everything, like you said, like kind of leaves an impression as you're going through the game, and it's great. It's great, man. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely one of the best games I've played in quite some time, especially through Xbox Game Pass. So yeah, if you have Game Pass and you like fun little indie games like that, especially ones that are refreshing and just really kind of thinking outside the box, do yourself a big favor and go download the Artful Escape. It's great. But yeah, kind of going back to the murder mystery side of things. Finally started playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is sort of a spin-off of what we know as regular Ace Attorney, which is Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright or Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Right.
So this one takes place way in the past. Like we're talking about, these are like almost like the origins of like the Ace Attorneys.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Phoenix Wright might actually be a descendant of the character that you play in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, who I keep forgetting his name. It's like Ryonosuke. It's some crazy long last name, but it's like
I can't remember.
yeah. But I like calling him Ryu for short. But yeah, no, he's super cool. That's who you play, and it's a compilation of two games that came out forever ago, I think on the DS originally, but they were only in Japan. They never got localized. So these games are not only remade from the ground up for the Switch, but for the first time ever are being localized, and you get a double pack also, right? So for $30, maybe $40, I don't know. I know we got it for $30 physically. It might have been on sale, but it's compiles Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 1 and 2, and man, I'm just having the time of my life with it. And like on the Switch OLED, oh my god, this game was made for it. Like my god, I mean the colors are gorgeous, the way everything pans, and the way the characters are set on screen, and the placement of the environment, stuff like that. Everything looks so vibrant. Everything is easily like legible, and you can see everything perfectly. You never have to squint at anything, whether you're in handheld mode or TV mode. Like everything is beautiful. Like it's beautifully set up. But yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with Ace Attorney, it kind of shares that same formula, right? Of like, you're going to be spending the bulk of your time, in the courtroom. However, when you're not in the courtroom, you're going to be going to various locations and investigating crime scenes, and trying to get as much evidence as possible. That way, when you do get to the courtroom later, you can present all the stuff as needed. So. And you always meet all these crazy characters, all these crazy cast of characters where, you're always trying to figure out who did it. You did it. No, you did it. And honestly, with how they all act and look, it's just like, it's like any of these guys could have done it. And
they all did it.
Yeah, they all did it, but it always comes down to one, right? So, but they're so good at making all these crazy character designs that, like, it's a good distraction of just like literally anybody could have done this. Like they all look crazy and they're all acting crazy too.
Right.
But beautiful game. And yeah, but if you played Ace Attorney, you already know what you're going into with this, and I swear, like, this is probably one of the best looking games I've played on the Switch, just in terms of the crispness of it, the colors, its performance, everything. It's so good. Like, it was made for the Switch. Like, this is like, it's like matrimony. Like, it's so good, so good. I'm just hoping that at some point, with Capcom, porting and localizing so many things, that we can eventually get some of the ones that were on 3DS on here. I mean, obviously there's the Ace Attorney trilogy, but I really want the ones on 3DS on there, because those were like really astounding.
Yeah,
like,
they were really good.
Yeah, like Dual Destinies, and was it Spirits of Justice? I think
so.
Those were great. Yeah. And then I think there was one Ace Attorney Chronicles that was on 3DS as well, so that'd be a cool one to port and kind of make a compilation, just like the 3DS collection. I could just call it that. So, but yeah, unbelievable time with it, and it's great, because I've just really been in a murder mystery mood as of late, so it's really been hitting that spot for me. But I can't recommend it enough. It's always got that nice balance, once again, of like, visual novel style storytelling, but of course, making things, sort of interactive and fun via its gameplay through, hidden object and point and click mechanics and stuff. So it's great, and just the narrative structure and the character development for everybody, and the way things unwind, it's just like, it blows your mind every time. Like, especially by the time you get to the end of the case, man, it's like, it makes you wonder, but also appreciate not only the development process, but the writing that goes behind. Like, they must be locked in a room for months thinking of like, all right, which route, is that too cliche? How do we take that and go from there? How do we trick the player into thinking like it's this, but really it's like this, and it just kind of turns itself on its head and stuff like that. Like, they must be thinking of every which way and just going through insane amount of testing,
right.
to make sure that nothing is ever feeling too predictable or like I said, cliche, because Ace Attorney's really never been like that for me anyway. So it's always surprising. Always a bunch of twists and turns, and then those twists have turns, and then those turns have twists, and it's like it's insane. It's wild. It's like it's kind of akin to those little things that you see on like a loaf of bread. You're kind of like you're trying to untwist it.
You're twisting it the wrong way.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're twisting it the wrong way, so you got to put it back the other way. But then that somehow ends up the wrong way, so then you go back the original way, and then all of a sudden it works, and it's like, it's like that. So, but think of that, but fun. So that's what Ace Attorney is.
Or that, or you just cut the wire and go on, or cut the tie and go on.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I've been playing a lot of that, but that had to be put on hold because as of 24 hours ago, the new Pokemon game came out.
Right.
And the new Pokemon game, yeah.
Pokemon in.
Yeah, the new Pokemon Legends Arceus. Or as I've been calling it, Pokemon of Tsushima. And it's awesome. It's really, really great. It's super addicting, man. They just go around catching all these Pokemon and finding all the materials to grab, and you're crafting a lot of stuff now too. And there's a lot of Breath of the Wild elements, but still has that sort of signature Pokemon look and feel to it. And but there's no way. I have trouble believing they didn't go to the Breath of the Wild team and was just like, hey, you mind giving us a few pointers? We're trying to do this like this. How would you make this feel good? How did you do this? Especially with the UI and everything. Oh my God, it's a beautiful user interface. That's very reminiscent of the way Breath of the Wild is. And then the music and the calmness of it too. And it's like, especially with a lot of like the sort of like muted pianos and stuff like that. It's it sounds very Breath of the Wild. So
find any weirdos in trees that give you seeds.
There's a lot of there's things that sort of they give off the sort of same vibe that a Korok seed would, but rather than looking for these particular little things, they kind of replaced what would be the seeds with what they call wisps, and they're kind of scattered all throughout the region, and you got to collect them, and eventually once you get them all, you can get a spirit tomb that way. But yeah, there's a lot of elements and ideas that they clearly borrowed from Breath of the Wild that they kind of turned into, gave it that Pokemon flavor. And but man, the seamlessness of going in and out of battles, you don't have to go through a crazy old school Final Fantasy warp anymore, or anything like that, and go through a bunch of text and and whatnot. It's you just throw out one of your Pokemon and there it is, the battle's starting, no questions asked. So it's awesome. And you get to move your character freely around. You have a full 360 camera. It's not a fixed camera anymore. Wow. Yeah, no matter where you're at. So it's like they kind of took the idea for the wild area, but made it good from Sword and Shield. So, and but yeah, it's not without its problems. The graphics could be much, much better. I'm kind of over, I think Game Freak should just retire, not only from Pokemon, but just in general. I think they're done.
I thought you were going to tell me they need to retire the engine they're using.
No, they're still using the 3DS engine, yeah. But but otherwise, of course.
Oh, jeez, okay.
But they nailed the gameplay though. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic. But there's a lot of just weird like little mechanical problems and technical problems stuff. The pop in is really bad, like really, really bad. A lot of stuff appearing and disappearing, like clearly in view.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I recorded a video where I was just simply turning the camera, and it was just a hallway. It was like there's this main hallway that you go into, where you talk to like the commander of this village, basically, and you're gonna be going there a lot to rank up your stars and whatnot. But all I did was like I was in this empty hallway, right? And that's not the problem. But like just this hallway, because I was gonna go upstairs, and there's just one NPC just chilling there. All I did was turn the camera, like not even completely out of view. He was still like maybe 35% in frame, and just depending on how I would turn the camera left or right, he would either appear or disappear. And I'm just like, is it that hard to render this dude? Like, are we having that much issue to render this one small NPC in this extremely empty, grand hallway? Like it's well, how is this so difficult? Meanwhile, I just think, just please just, like they nail the gameplay. I think they need to start co-developing. That's what it is. Let them handle the gameplay portions of it because they still got that on lock, right? But like it's the more visuals. The visuals they need to not do anymore. Give it to Bandai Namco because they've been killing it, right? New Pokemon Snap, they did a great job with that, right? Pokken Tournament, unbelievable job with that, right? So like all the 3D Pokemon games that have been outsourced have looked amazing. Pokemon Unite looks great, like, and again, and what's the common denominator here is that Game Freak's not working on any of these.
Maybe just your first idea is better. Game Freak needs to go away because all the people who are chained to their desk making Pokemon games for 2 or 3 decades, they need a break, man.
I think they need a break.
They're losing inspiration.
Yeah. They're probably chained to their desk. That's probably what it is. They probably can't go anywhere. They probably have like a little bracelet on their ankle that's chained to like the leg of their desk, and they can't go anywhere. They probably get fed, once a day. Just like here's a peanut butter sandwich.
There's a lot of Pokemon they gotta make, so gotta crank that treadmill.
Can I have more, sir?
No, get back to work.
Sir, please. I was on Facebook the other day and everybody thinks I'm dead. My God, they held a eulogy for me. My God. Please just let me go home. Just this weekend, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, they've been doing this now for a while, and Pokemon was continuously being inventive up until X and Y, which is why a lot of people, myself included, say X and Y was the last real good one. There's people that like Sun and Moon, there's people that like Sword and Shield that still loved X and Y and the ones prior, but but if you're really looking at criticisms aside, if you're really looking at in terms of features, content, depth, replayability, things like that, X and Y was the last time you really had a big evolution for the series, no pun intended. But like Sun and Moon just felt like a big step back, and then Sword and Shield was weird, right? Because it was it was one step forward, 2 steps back type of thing, where it was like you had a lot of good ideas in that, but either they weren't implemented well or there wasn't enough of a grip there to kind of keep you wanting more. And I think they just need to stick with something that works. I mean, I get, don't fix what's not broken, but they keep implementing these things that they are these throwaway gimmicks, right? They drive me crazy, right? Like X and Y, I like the idea of mega evolutions. There weren't many of them. There was only really just a handful of mega evolutions, but that was cool. If they kept growing on that with each new generation of like, hey, now some of these Pokemon technically have a 4th form now, but only temporary, kind of like a Digimon thing, that would be really cool. I liked that idea a lot because that could easily change the whole playing field of not only for the video games, but for you could even say the TCG, right, the trading card game. So implementing those sorts of ideas were like, hey, here's a mega evolution, you can only use it for 3 turns, and then you have to discard the card, stuff like that, so I like that idea a lot. But then they got rid of it for Sun and Moon, and then in Sun and Moon they replaced it with the Z moves, I believe. So you got some of these Pokemon, if they were holding a certain stone, they could initiate these super powerful moves. Now, that's fine and dandy, but this isn't something we haven't seen before. I mean, you could just use a Hyper Beam and it would work just as well. The only difference here is you're telling me you're using a Z version of a move that comes with a fancy animation, but otherwise, damage-wise, not that impressive. Right. It's just meant to look fancy and very like you're showing off basically. And then in Sword and Shield you had these stupid, they had 2 names for it, Dynamax, Gigantamax, whatever you want to call it, and like,
is that where you feed your Pokemon a steroid?
It may as well be. It's like it's just all this pollution in the air
like
that
them
mutates them.
All my muscles.
Yeah.
and like it makes them the size of like kaijus basically, right? So you have
Right.
so
stop on the city, come back here.
yeah. So you'll see a Godzilla-sized Pikachu, with like
There
an
you go.
old
That's a
man.
crossover. We need to have actual like Godzilla and that whole library of monsters
Breaking into
versus
like snack
Pokemon.
factory and eating snacks. No, come back here. I told you to fight.
Yeah, but it's all these throwaway ideas, and it's just like every time people like an idea or get used to it, because I didn't have a problem with Z moves, they just weren't as exciting as Mega Evolutions, and then of course they threw that away, and it was just like Z moves, what are those? We don't know about those. Anyways, we have this this Dynamax stuff here, and now the next one they're gonna be like Dynamax, never heard of that. Anyways, we got this new thing here, so like all these gimmicks, and like I hate these throwaway ideas, and it's just like that's not how you keep a series refreshing. Because then you have to learn a whole new mechanic for the next one that is, once again, a throwaway mechanic, because that's how I see them. Because, again, they're only going to use it for this one game, and it's not going to be used ever again. It's just something to keep you busy, something to make it seem new, because they don't, because they know they're selling the same thing over and over again,
Right.
So it's how do we make it seem new? So, it's problematic in a lot of ways because of that. And I think it gets to a point where some developers, and this isn't just a problem with Game Freak, you see this happen all the time. I mean, Call of Duty's, suffers from this too. Where it's just like these guys get way too comfortable. They sell the same thing every year. Give it to somebody else who's willing to do something else. Keep it refreshing. Because yes, these will sell millions and millions of copies every single time. However, while you're selling a lot of copies, I feel like even though everything's a numbers game, right? So it's weird. You're selling millions of copies, but I feel like at the same time you have a shrinking fan base, right? Now it might not be in the millions. It might just be marginal, right? It might just be, maybe a couple tens of thousands, right? Maybe 20,000 people in the year of, this year 2022 would be like, what, I'm not a Pokemon fan anymore. Now compared to the millions of copies, 10,000, that's not going to make a dent,
Right.
But over time, you will see, that sort of trend start to, you will start to see that reflect, year over year. And and just people will start to, just kind of lose interest over a time.
This is the first one that I didn't pre-order. Usually I always have a new Pokemon game, let me pre-order it, and I didn't pre-order this one. I was going to wait for reviews and see what you thought of it before I bought it. And then after talking to you last night, I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. I mean,
no, I mean it's a great game. Absolutely buy it. It's fantastic. I mean, this is the most refreshing thing they've done in a long, long time. It's great. But I think it also has to do with the fact that, this is in a weird way, it's sort of like a prequel, if you want to call it that, because these people in this village that you've gone into, they don't know what these Pokemon are. They don't know, everything's so new to them. They're just like, there's a bunch of crazy monsters. We started calling them Pokemon.
We got a bunch of monsters in our pockets, and we don't know why.
Like Pokeballs are still a new invention, so you see them, they're like made of wood and, stuff like that. It's, they're still trying to figure out everything. And, but it's such a neat, refreshing idea that's just like finally something refreshing. I just wish somebody else made this, instead of Game Freak, because a lot of the world, my biggest criticism is probably the world, and again, the gameplay and the mechanics, everything is addicting. They nailed that. They did such a good job. But again, visually speaking, it's just like you go out into that world, the draw distance really, really bad, right? You go into, a more a higher peak area, you look down, flat textures across. You start, you might see maybe 3 trees, maybe at most.
And I wonder why that is. I mean, it wasn't like that on Breath of the Wild. Did they just not take the time to polish it? Did they not have the time? Did they have to have it out by this certain time? Or
but it's weird. Like it's why are you rushing something like this? Like especially when Brian, like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl just came out in November, so like that was just 3 months ago. Which by the way was great. You want to know why?
Because they didn't do it. Yeah,
That's right.
Game Freaks didn't make it.
Yeah. So and did you? Also, if anybody noticed, smooth, no jaggies.
No jaggies. That was the first thing I noticed, and we talked about that. It's like, hey, this game looks. There's no jaggies. What's up with that? And then I realized, oh wait, Game Freak didn't.
Yeah, someone understood what the technical term anti-aliasing is, how it does. And,
I think you've just answered your question of why there's all these technical pop-in issues and whatnot in this game. It's just More than just Jaggies. There's these now too.
Yeah.
But it's just super weird because you look at games that have a similar visual style like this, right? Again, everyone's always going to go to Breath of the Wild, but that Breath of the Wild really did set the bar, right? It came out day one with Switch, so everything moving forward has to look back at that and be like, look, that came out day one,
and
you
it came
guys
out on
should
Wii
be...
U.
And
It was Wii U.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know.
Yeah, like all these developers and publishers should be comfortable with this system by now, understand how the engine works, understand how the hardware works, and yet still, you guys still can't match that. That came out day and date when the Switch launched in 2017. That was 5 years ago now. 5.
They would have had to have been doing it longer than those 5 years to match it, though. That's the thing, because Breath of the Wild was being developed for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because it was just ported to the Switch. It wasn't developed on the Switch. It was just ported onto the Switch.
But that's the thing, right? Is like we're also okay. Well, then even that.
Well, it's just Zelda in general. Is like, hey, we start developing it, and then oops, we run out of time on this console, so we end up putting it out on the next one. That's like a Zelda staple at this point.
We'll catch it. We'll catch it. Don't worry about it. We'll catch it on the.
Well, even less of an excuse then, right? Because then it's technically a Wii U game at that point, right? When it was initially presented, the Switch didn't exist. No one heard about the Switch, but it was like this game. Here's our new Wii U Zelda game, and. So yeah, the fact that you got that to run and look as beautiful as it is on the Wii U, what's everyone else's excuse? It's development time aside, it's just like, again, but even development time aside, just simply just judging from ports and stuff, look at what Bethesda's done with some of the ports, right? With stuff like Wolfenstein, Doom, things like that. Witcher 3, not Bethesda obviously, but that's on the Switch, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't know. It's just. I don't know, especially as a first party, mostly first party studio. It's just like, how are you still not familiar with your own hardware? It just seems weird. Seems weird to me. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, but again, that's just from a visual perspective. Gameplay wise, it is fantastic. Super fun game. I highly recommend it, especially if you have any semblance of enjoyment with Pokemon. You're gonna love this. It's super refreshing and honestly really addicting. Just kind of going around catching them all, but I just wish that world was a little more fleshed out, because there's just a lot of flat textures, a lot of draw distance issues, a lot of pop in, and a lot of uninspired areas. It's just, I just wish there was more flora and fauna, and just
I wish there were a little more details here and there.
Yeah, just details, more polish. Even Jaggies aside, even if that wasn't the case, I started thinking about games that came out in the past that have more detail than this. I think of something like Ni no Kuni. It reminds me a little bit of Ni no Kuni, actually. In terms of like the world building and the visual style, where like when you're out there, it's just like this game initially came out on PS3. I don't even know how many generations ago at this point. I've lost time. 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago, and like, it's just
but
weird.
that's a silly comparison because we're talking about the Switch. So if you're comparing the Switch to that, then it's like almost equivalent.
Yeah, but just like, I don't know, just in terms of like detail and style and stuff like that, it's just there's these games, older games that came out 10 plus years ago that have a lot more environmental detail than what we're seeing here now. It's not to say they're bad landscapes. They're fun to play around in. They're fun to run around in and kind of explore in, but you kind of see everything after a while. And I've always been a big fan of, and for me, the environment is as important, if not even more important, than how the game itself actually is. Because like a big part of immersion for me is the world that I'm in.
Right.
So however, the village is awesome. I love the village. Like, the village is great that you kind of walk around in, and you can go into just about everybody's house. And now the problem with everybody's house looks the same, right? So they just copy and paste it each.
Of course.
So just to save time, because as we know, Pokemon is not $1 billion property. It only makes a couple $1,000s every year.
Yeah, it's small. Nobody buys it.
So
they don't have cartoons or trading card games or comic books or T-shirts or any of that crap. They don't do anything like that.
No, I mean, come on. It's it's made by 2 people.
Yeah, 2 people, small team. Yeah. It's like, some indie group. Who's ever heard
no
of me?
different. No different from Stardew, Undertale. Wait, what was that?
Yeah.
Oh, those sold millions and millions of copies. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. It just makes you wonder. Like how much time do they have? How big or small is that team really? Like where are these resources going? Is it, do they rely? Or is it just like, it's like let's sell the game just so we can sell merchandise, versus,
yeah.
Let's just sell the game because we want to make something fun and amazing for everybody. It's
and they can, let's get it out there, and we can always do updates. Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I mean, is there like you rarely see like visual overhaul updates though, and stuff
not
like
usually.
that. If anything, if there's been a trend with anything lately, it's been now this has a ray tracing update, but
right.
usually what you see now, but no, and nothing really in terms of like we're remastering how the game looks and it's completely free. And that has happened, but it's that's few and far between. So, but yeah, I don't know. It just makes you wonder. This is Pokemon we're talking about here. It's like this is also for Nintendo it goes Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. I feel like in terms of like their top 3 properties, they're all billion-dollar franchises, but these are also properties, right? That like when Mario came out, I was watching this a couple weeks ago on YouTube because I was feeling nostalgic when Mario Odyssey came out. My God, the amount of marketing they did, they shut down almost a couple streets in New York just because they were having big Mario Odyssey parade and doing a big launch for at the Nintendo store. And then when Zelda came out, everything they were doing surrounding that, the marketing everywhere, making murals, just finding places with huge brick walls and just changing them entirely to Breath of the Wild murals. And it was beautiful, billboards everywhere. Like the commercials were great. You couldn't turn left or right without seeing something that was Mario or Zelda related. And they just made such a big deal out of it because this is there, and it's the same thing with how movies do, right? Every time there's a new Star Wars movie, you can't turn left or right without hearing about it, right? Every time there's a new advertise, but you want to make sure that you do it right? Because you don't want to let people down. I feel like with Pokemon, there's always going to be people that you're gonna let down, but you always see a trend of what people are saying, right? It's not because the game is necessarily bad. This game is amazing, right? And the best thing that Pokemon has seen in years. But again, it's always comes back to like, why does it look like this? Are we going to be in 2085? I'm going to be like 75 years old playing this thing VR and still to be like, I remember some games looking like this on the Xbox Series X.
Look at those Jaggies. Oh.
We're gonna have 12K Jaggies. So,
I saw a lot of videos and pictures on Twitter of the lines of people to pick up their games on launch night at GameStop. I mean, some of them they were lines wrapped around the building. It's crazy. I haven't seen lines like that at a launch lineup or a launch game in a long time. So yeah. So.
But it's super exciting. But it's a super great game. But I don't know. Visually they could have done more, and they could have done more. Like the game runs at 30, it's not running at 60 either. Like, and it's just like, why? There's nothing here. There's nothing. Again, going back, Breath of the Wild was in 60 frames, and ran natively at 1080p. So again, I don't want to hear it. It's like I don't understand.
Have you tried docking it? Does docking change anything?
Yeah, no, I've been playing actually mostly on TV.
Okay,
actually.
all right. I didn't know if you were playing handheld or
no, I play a little bit handheld. It looks good in handheld too, but again, those criticisms still apply because, it stuff like draw distance and things like that. I mean, then pop in. I mean, that's not going to change docked or undocked.
Right.
So it's really all the docked and undocked is going to do is like it might give you a crisper image. And then with that extra processing power, I mean, you could probably render a little bit more, but ultimately it's the same experience on or off TV. So
fair enough.
But yeah,
cool. Yeah, I'm going to pick it up. Maybe tomorrow.
I mean, it's absolutely worth picking up. It's a fantastic game. I think you're gonna love it. But yeah, it's just I think they need to start co-developing. I just don't think they can handle a lot of the bigger because you're talking about a team that has solely worked on handheld titles virtually their entire existence, right? From the original Game Boy up until now. And, now that the Switch is, can be considered a console, now you're working with console hardware, and here we are years down the line, they still have no idea. They don't know, what's going on. I think they just really need to start code developing, or just, don't be afraid to ask for help, man.
Yeah.
Like, again, you guys take care of the gameplay and the, mechanics for stuff like that. Just let somebody else, let somebody else handle the visuals and the optimization. Like, please, it's I don't know.
Well, and it's not unheard of for for companies, different
code development
all the time. I mean, how many people worked on The Last of Us 2? How many dev companies worked on hundreds?
Well, Smash Brothers is another great example too, where Smash Brothers Ultimate got so big, or even Wii U, it got so big to the point where Sakurai was just like, we can't do this all on our own. So they contacted a bunch of people over at Bandai Namco. So it's co-developed not only with Sora Limited, but they're co-developed with Bandai Namco as well. And Bandai Namco's been really faithful and really, really good with how they've been handling Pokemon stuff too. Like I said, with Pokemon Tournament, Pokemon Snap, they didn't do Pokemon Unite, but using that as an example and how that looks, Pokemon Masters on the phone, phone, looks amazing and has some voice acting in it also, so it's just like, I don't know. I just think just co-develop. You guys keep doing what you're doing, but on the visual and technical side of things, just let somebody else handle the optimization and stuff like that to make sure you deliver the best game possible. Something that we're not asking for photorealism. I'm not asking for that.
No.
I am.
Oh, okay. And then you get it.
No, what? Now, what if there was a game where the Pokemon looked like they do in the Detective Pikachu movie?
Okay.
They have like that amount of detail in it. Like they wouldn't be in a live action environment, but just like that kind of style. Pared down to what you can actually pull off a video game, but like that kind of thing could be cool.
Yeah,
honestly,
can't do that on the Switch though.
No, you can't.
But now that you've brought it up, like something like Detective Pikachu on the 3DS, great game by the way, but guess what? Game Freak didn't touch it. And that game looks amazing too. So, and they announced Detective Pikachu 2 years ago, not the movie, but the game. And I don't know where it is, but who knows where it is. But I really want that bad. I love Detective Pikachu on 3DS. The game was amazing. But anyways, but yeah, I don't know. I just think here's a $1 billion franchise that you treat as if it's a dying franchise. And it's not. It's alive and well.
Actually, you've got that wrong. It's a $1 billion franchise that they treat that like, oh, we have a $1 billion franchise. It's fine. We don't have to try that hard.
No,
that's what it feels
money.
like. Yeah.
Just roll it out. We need money. Yeah.
It's like it's good enough. That's kind of that. It's good enough. Put it out.
Yeah, this will do. Yeah.
True.
It's like it's like you can make, like you can cook a piece of chicken, but if you really want it to stand out, and people remember it, you need that proper seasoning, but they're just like, no, we don't need seasoning.
No, we'll just boil it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, boil it.
Oh.
Salt and pepper, boil it.
Nathaniel, he's just grossed out.
Not gross, just like, oh, just, no, that's, no.
But
way better ways to cook it than that.
Oh yeah.
But long story short, though, like visual stuff aside, like this is the best Pokemon game spinoff, whatever you want to call it, in a long, long time. I'm loving it. It's amazing. And I hope Pokemon moving forward takes a lot of ideas from this. It won't, because this will be another one where they just kind of like, it's a one and done, just like everything's got a gimmick and a spinoff, and I hate that they do that, but hopefully I'm wrong. I want to be wrong so bad.
We'll see.
There's a lot of great, refreshing ideas here that I think would implement well in mainline series games moving forward, particularly the open world aspect of it, the 3D camera aspect of it, and just the seamless nature of going in and out of battles. But that world needs a big overhaul. I mean, again, it's pretty to a degree, but only when you're kind of looking at things up close. The moment you start getting a look at the bigger picture, it starts to really fall apart. So,
as somebody who's not a Pokemon fan looking in from the outside, it's hilarious. It's just like, yeah, 3D camera, it's cool, new thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Right?
That's such a new innovation. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, but anyways, all in all, great game. I am reviewing it though, so I'll go more in depth, once I finish the game. But yeah, no, it's great. Don't hesitate to, if you're a Pokemon fan, don't hesitate to spend the $60 on it. I think it'll be well worth your time. So it's a great game. So
cool.
But yeah, that's my list.
Eric, you're up.
Oh, it is my turn.
What? Pokemon? What?
Actually, I do have Pokemon Diamond for Switch. I won it like a couple months ago. I haven't opened it. I'm not a huge Pokemon guy. Like, I might play it, or I might just give it to my nephew, who's big into Pokemon. Here you go.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Christmas. Enjoy.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Anyway, the last Pokemon game I played was X, and that was years ago because it was one of the ones that you get for free on 3DS. They were like giving, I want to say it was something for Club Nintendo, potentially.
I don't think they ever gave that away in Club Nintendo. They give a lot of games free, but not Pokemon.
Maybe
X and Y.
It was super cheap. Anyway, another story for another day. Anyway, let's see what I've been playing. I have been playing some Battlefield 2042 on PC. Pretty good. I got fiber internet this weekend, so that was a good way to take it to the old speed test. See what my ping is. Pretty good, like 20. That's really good. And there's a map full of people, so better than it was before. Played a couple hours of that. It's Battlefield. I don't need to bore you. Played a lot of stuff on the Series X or Series S recently. Played some more Hunt Down. Game is surprisingly tough. It is. The boss fights are just.
I was interested in that one.
It was on actually. I put that on Switch, not on the Series, but it's good. I mean, I recommend it. If you like retro, sci-fi, run and gun games, kind of like Contra inspired a little bit, but you take more than one hit to kill you. Different guns, different characters. Boss fights are challenging. Kind of fun secrets in it and stuff. Collectibles to get. I tried Windjammers 2 because that was free. We also got a review code for it, but it's on Game Pass, so I played it. It's just like Windjammers, just like the first one. I mean, I think the best thing is to probably play with somebody. I mean, because playing against the computer can only do so much.
I played it briefly on Vita. It was okay.
Yeah,
it wasn't too crazy
fun.
for it. It was fun.
It's entertaining. Little sports game. I also tried Doom 64 for the first time ever. Never played it before.
Oh, really?
It is crap on the 64. It is garbage.
It really is.
On this version, they changed the brightness and the resolution, so it's playable. It's decent, but I don't know. Like, I think I'd rather just play like Doom 1 or 2 because the monster models look funny to me in Doom 64, and I'm like, I bet this is because of like what they had to do for the 64 to get it to work.
Could be.
But, I mean,
There's a lot of shortcuts back then.
Yeah,
it's
good.
If you compare like Resident Evil 2 64 to Resident Evil like 2 PS1, it's crazy. There's like documentaries too of like what they got.
To cram down the cart, like that is not the best. Okay, Resident Evil 2. I don't recommend playing it on the N64, but if it's the only way. But if it's the only way you can play it, it's still a technical marvel, and it works.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
I just don't recommend playing any games on the N64. But
well, if you get that, I did pick up a.
I'm with you, John.
I did buy a pretty big N64 lot recently locally, and he had the wireless Brawler 64.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah.
I'm not super interested, but my buddy has one. He's like, it's better than the original. He's like, you got to try it at least give it a try.
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. See what the latency's like, and if maybe just hang on to it. And,
I have the old, the wired one. Yeah.
I have the retro bit one that's supposed to that looks like the Hori pad.
Mm-hmm.
With the joystick.
The joystick in the middle. Yeah.
That one's good. That's really comfortable. I can play for that for a while without any issues. But anyway, Doom 64. It's okay. Give it a try if you got it on Game Pass. I also tried Quake, and that made me Quake 1. That made me nauseous, actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love Quake. Quake is so fast-paced.
Brown, muddy environment. I mean, I played this in PC back in the day, and I'm like, oh, that takes me back. Oh, look, I can jump. Things are slightly better. But my wife was like, "What is this game? Is this Wolfenstein?" I was like, "No, this is Quake."
Close.
It looks the same. Did like the same company make it? It's like in a castle. I'm like, well, let me tell you. Give me a brief. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting to dabble.
Yeah.
And you could download. It's kind of cool. The one that's on Game Pass. You can get. There's a couple fan mods you can get, and you can download Quake 64 to run it too, which is kind of interesting. So kind of shortcuts that to get that tool. Played a little bit of Star Wars Squadrons because I wanted to show my wife what that was like, flying around the TIE fighter stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have played that in PlayStation VR. I mean, I was going to use my VR for that, but I don't think I could have handled it. It's hard enough for me to play.
It's pretty cool in VR.
Cool.
It is really, really
Didn't bother
cool.
you at all?
No,
Flying?
it didn't bother me. Now I have the. I need to get a cable to hook up my Oculus to the PC because they gave that away on Amazon Gaming.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
so I've got it on Origin and it's VR compatible there too. So I need to see see what it's like on the Oculus with a little higher resolution. That might get me.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. But
let's see. So yeah, I've been playing lots of cool stuff. Actually, another game I played was Heaven Dust 2. That's on the Nintendo Switch. Got a review code for it. It is best described as like an isometric survival horror Resident Evil like game.
Yeah.
It borrows a lot from Resident Evil. You feel like you're playing it takes place in a research facility. The first game took place in a mansion. Like, oh, Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
But the second, it was fun. Like, it's about 10 to 15 hours long. I beat it. I finished it. I'm not with review games. I try to play as much as possible, but this one I couldn't stop playing.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. There's boss fights. You collect stuff. The puzzles are simple. Stick statue A in fountain A, and get this clue for piece B. Go find it. So that sort of stuff. The gun combat's good. It auto aims, and if you wait like a few seconds longer, I'm finishing up my review, but a few seconds longer, it'll aim for a headshot. Just do that. There's different zombies. Kill them with different weapons. You can upgrade your guns. Pretty much spending the time figuring out why you woke up with no memory and why you were frozen. And now you're awake. How do you get out? How do you kill the monsters? Story's kind of interesting. Gameplay's good. They gave you a melee weapon, which is useless. I never used it. It's just dumb. We have like grenades and stuff. And it was entertaining. The music. I talked about it last show, but the music is very Resident Evil like.
Yeah.
Little like bits when you're like saving at the computer and stuff. And just like, but it's fun. I recommend it. It is $15 on the eShop, and if you buy it on Steam, it's like 14 or 15 on Steam, and it includes the first game as well on Steam.
Oh, right.
So
that's really nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty small studio, I think. But I had a pretty good. My only gripes were the controls sometimes were a little bit funky. Like, I don't know. Try to get the character to, and it's like Resident Evil. You can't move and shoot. You're standing still and shooting, turning. Right. And there were a couple times where I was like, "Damn it!" No, it's not too bad. I wish the controls were a little bit tighter. And the game crashed a lot on my Switch. It probably crashed like 6 or 7 times.
Jesus.
And it would be random, like when I was saving, or maybe I'd take a break, come back, take my Switch off sleep mode, and burp, the game would crash. But no, it's a good game. I would definitely say 4 out of 5, and I had a very good time with it. And
well, that's something to say, with the crashing like that, and you still couldn't put it down. I mean, because to me, it's just like, it's like.
Dennis was talking earlier about he's like, I gotta power through the puzzles. I don't care. I gotta do it. No, not me. I was like, how do I open this door? YouTube. Oh, here we go. Oh, cool. How do I fight this boss? Because there's at least. The only times I died in the game are at the boss fights, and one of them was really challenging for me. I'm like, I had to go look up a video, and the guy's like, oh, okay, I didn't think about doing that. That's kind of cool. But it was, and unfortunately, I think there's like some cheat codes out there and some secrets, but I couldn't find anything on the internet. I was looking, I found a few guides for secrets, but I was like trying to find the guides for like the unlockable stuff, because once you finish the game, you unlock a harder mode, and you can unlock stuff.
Cool.
It was fun. I recommend it.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
That's all I've been playing.
Cool. Well, we'll talk about a little bit of news. Not that anything big happened since our last show.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing that's like one of the biggest news stories in gaming ever.
Yeah.
$1 billion project.
Yeah, nobody spent $69 billion on anything. It wasn't.
Not yet. Sort of.
Not yet.
Whatever. You know, kind of.
Happened, but yeah. So Activision Blizzard is Microsoft is probably going to acquire Activision Blizzard. And that kind of came from out of nowhere. What day was it? Was it come out like on a Tuesday or something like that?
Yeah, it was very random.
It was very random. It was like 9:30 in the morning.
Definitely a Tuesday. Yeah.
I just remember just waking up one day and just scrolling through Twitter and seeing that news and just being like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Well, my phone just kept buzzing. It's like, what is going on? And I pull out my phone. It's like, Microsoft bought Activision. What? It's like, well, and apparently from what has kind of come out, over the past 2 weeks now, is it seems like that Activision was shopping themselves around to see who would buy them. And there's only a few companies that they could go to: Google, Facebook, bigger companies like that. They may have went to Sony, but Sony there was no way Sony was going to be able to pay that kind of money for Activision Blizzard.
The biggest acquisition so far is probably Insomniac, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they can. That's the thing is, every company carries debt. They just carry debt. X company is worth this much money, but they still have billions of dollars in debt. And I was reading something the other day, and like Microsoft has their net debt is like $305 billion. But that's like debt that they have to pay off in a certain amount of time, But like Sony's debt is like, I'm sorry. That's Sony's debt. It's $305 billion. Microsoft's debt's like $44 billion. So when you look at something like that, and a company has is carrying that much yearly debt, you don't have, it's when you're talking billions at this point, it's space money. I mean, it's just. It's an astronomical amount of money that I don't even understand or can't even fathom. It's not like you're talking, I'm going to whip out 20. Yeah. I mean, I'm not paying $20 for something and somebody comes in and goes, no, wait, I'll pay 40. No, we're talking billions of dollars here, But, I don't know. It's crazy to think. It's crazy to think that all the stuff that Microsoft will end up, all the properties Microsoft will end up having at the end of this. I know a lot of people are.
Why they spent all that money and they're feeling pretty good about it. So
my opinion is, I don't think all the IPs were the biggest thing that Microsoft wanted out of it. I think the big thing that Microsoft wanted out of it was King for Candy Crush. The mobile stuff. Microsoft's been wanting to get their hand in mobile, and they've been wanting to hang on mobile. The thing about it is Candy Crush makes more money than Call of Duty does. And that's what some people just can't understand. I mean,
the whole picture, that's definitely a big chunk of it, but they definitely want Call of Duty and they want all the Blizzard properties too, because those are also going to make them a decent chunk. But the biggest chunk will probably be all the Candy Crush stuff.
Yeah. I think
and then like Candy Crush money will come in. They'll just wake up one day. Oh, that's another.
There's another.
I never thought that would be like the thing that they would want. That they would be really after.
Well, and there's two things that Microsoft, that Phil Spencer, if you listen to any interviews in the past 6 months that he's done, he's said they want to get more into mobile, and they want to get more into family friendly is what they want. That's what they want. So you've bought Activision, so now you got Crash Bandicoot, who was a mascot for Sony at one time until they sold it. Spyro the Dragon. Bob for Games, they made, Skylanders and stuff like that. The thing is, I think they, Call of Duty is a big franchise. They would be happy to have that. I don't think Call of Duty, I think it was, like you said, I think it was more the Blizzard stuff, more the PC side and the mobile than it was Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty was just the icing on the cake that was like, oh, well, that's there too? Sure, well,
I mean, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far, but I think it is the whole big picture part of it, of like, everybody before like they bought Bethesda, at that point with Microsoft, you're like, oh, well, what kind of like properties does Xbox have? And then they added Bethesda stuff, like, oh wow, they have all this stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
This is like leagues past that of just like, look, now we own World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, all these like big, huge name things that whether they're thinking of how much money they'll make from this or that is part of it for sure, but a lot of it is also prestige of like, look at all these properties we have now. Not to mention all the stuff that Activision and Blizzard have not made or done anything with in forever that they have the rights to now. They also have all these studios in there that have been on like the Call of Duty train for a long time that they could possibly like, hey, you guys want to make this kind of game? Go do that instead. So they have all these different things that is pretty much all of it, except for you're inheriting the Activision Blizzard scandaliness. That's the only bad thing for Microsoft in this. Everything else is great for Microsoft. As for how good it is for everybody else, that's all sorts of different conversations. But for Microsoft, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you were talking, Dennis, about Pokemon being. We're going to it prints money, so we're just going to bring it out. I mean, Bobby Kotick has come out and said, we're going to make Call of Duty every year until you're sick of it. We're going to, and that's what we're going to do.
What Activision has done forever. Yeah. Look at all the other stuff. Like Tony Hawk was good for a while, and then that got ground into the dust. Like Guitar Hero got ground into the dust. All these different things that they've had over time that they just ground into the dust. Call of Duty's just lasting longer because it was bigger.
Yeah, and I honestly think you're going to see, of course you're going to see Warzone carry on because Warzone makes a lot of money. That is going to be a yearly, always updated thing. But I think you're going to end up seeing Call of Duty go to the Assassin's Creed model where it comes out every 2 years. It's not going to be, the Bob for Games works on it. Ravensoft works on it. They have so many of their internal teams working on it that these studios surely want to work on something else than Call of Duty.
I think it'd be better off for it. You should let creative studios be, creative.
Yeah.
And let them sort of, have at it. I know Microsoft
even if you just
that too.
Yeah, even if you just slow down Call of Duty, like you said, to every 2 years instead of every year, that would still free up resources.
Yeah, absolutely would. Yeah, and there's so many game franchises. Activision owns the entire Sierra library of games, and there is a crap ton of great old games that people have probably, young people have never heard of.
I was like, how many of those will probably be on Game Pass very quickly as soon as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be great on Game Pass too, because people aren't just going to go out and like, oh, I'm going to go buy this old King's Quest game.
Yeah.
Because I own it already or I've never heard of it. Either one, they're not going to buy it. But if it's on Game Pass, I might download that, right? Yeah. So it makes sense. That's be a good place for them now.
And
who knows how many we'll see, but...
All right. Well, Phil Spencer even said in an interview, he said, I think Activision owns Hexen. I love Hexen. It's like... he goes,
oh, man, that game.
He's like, he said, I should know this. He said, but I'm pretty sure Activision owned Hexen. So I want a Hexen game, So let's it's like... And people want to, a lot of Sony people say, this is a monopoly, this is a monopoly, this is a monopoly. This is not a monopoly. Even with this purchase, Microsoft is only number 3. Right now, they're number 4. This only makes them number 3 behind Sony and Tencent. If you think somebody's got a corner on a market, it's not Microsoft or Sony. It's... There's a pie chart going around that has all these companies that own all these things, and Microsoft and Sony own like 25%, and Tencent owns like 30 or 40%, and then this other company owns the rest of it. But again, how's Tencent make their money? It's all mobile. Yeah, they own this and that and that and that, but the majority of their stuff comes from mobile.
They just buy the crap out of like so many stocks. They're like majority stakeholders. They never buy the full thing, but they're
they have stock in Activision. That's the thing, is they have stock in Activision. It's like, it's crazy. And the other thing is, everything that everything points to Bobby Kotick is out after the deal is done. Once the deal is done, he's finally out. But the other thing is too, I told Nikki the other day, I said, I think the whole reason why Activision was shopping it around is because Bobby Kotick wanted a golden parachute. Because when he gets out of this, he's still going to make $400 million out of it.
You know what? He could have zero money from here on out and still be fine. But because he's in that category of I have this much more money type of a person, that you always want more. You want more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's been with that company for a long time. Of all the times where it's like, hey, I gave myself this huge bonus and laid off a bunch of people this year. It was great.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, as somebody who's not a huge Call of Duty fan anyway, I think this is awesome. If there was anybody it was going to go to, I'm glad it was going to Microsoft, because I think Microsoft will be the best stewards of it. If Google or Facebook or Amazon had bought it, I don't know. I don't trust those companies when it comes to gaming stuff. But
also, I think they have a wide catalog of stuff also, where it's just like, now that they own those properties, you don't have to have these Activision-owned studios work on those properties anymore. Now you can let them breathe a little bit, and you have all these properties you can kind of trickle out. I mean, you could have... like Arcane, do, a new Spyro if you want, if they wanted to. Now,
Right.
That would be very weird.
It would be
very weird as an example.
Spyro,
but I mean, especially with Blizzard, I mean, this could be, you're going to, Diablo, StarCraft. Maybe we'll finally get a new StarCraft game.
Well, honestly, like all that stuff, I could care less about right now. More of like, I think something this big had to happen in order to make things better for a lot of people at those studios, and hopefully that actually comes true, because it's not like it's a guarantee Microsoft buys it and so they're gonna clean house at Blizzard and Activision and all the bad people will be out. It's not guaranteed that'll happen, but I hope it does, because if you can get a solid working environment for these people who love these properties, and they don't have to worry about all the other crap on the side that really sucks and sucks any of the energy they have for doing the fun creative part of it, then they can put all their energy into it, and we'll get much better games, maybe more games, maybe just, hey, they're working on something and they're passionate about it and they can feed it into there, and they're not having to protect themselves and their daily life stuff or anything like that. They just I can focus on the games, and I'll be better for them in the first place and everybody else on down the line to people who get to play their games.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier, and I
hopefully
totally
that happens.
I hope so. If
we just have too much time before it all goes through, before we'll be able to tell if it does or not, but I'm hoping that it is a good thing.
Yeah, I hope so too. And they're saying it could be sometime between July 22 and July 23. I think it's going to happen faster than the Bethesda thing does, unless it gets bogged down with a lot of government crap. Then it may drag out.
It'll happen about as fast as any of them. It's not going to be right away. It could happen at this thing. It won't be on the early side. It'll be somewhere in the middle, probably.
But I don't know.
I think it'll be similar to, the same thing with Bethesda. Maybe the timeline's different, but okay, now it's Microsoft has announced we've acquired them, and then at some point later, hey, look at all these things coming to Game Pass, and now we're going to be oh, this thing is exclusive now, and then it'll start rolling out where you get more of the details, whereas now it's just hey, we want to do this thing, we'll give you more details later when it goes through, right?
So, I want to get a what you think might happen. Put your future cap on and tell me. Do you? Yes. Do you think with this being such a big company or a big purchase, do you think that Microsoft makes all Activision stuff exclusive, or do you think they cherry pick what they want exclusive? Is Call of Duty still going to be? Of course, I think Warzone will still be on everything, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, the free-to-play stuff. Do you think the Call of Duty campaign would be exclusive to Xbox? Do you think they will keep it on PlayStation? Because 70%
what it's
of
going to
people...
be is over time, Call of Duty will be an Xbox exclusive. That's my thing. Like, you don't spend this much money to not do that. It's just you have the rollout plan for how long it's going to take to get there.
Right.
So you're not going to do anything that exists now. It's going to be how it is now. Anything that's like even still being developed or whatever, all those contracts and stuff, they're still going to go with those because you have to.
Right.
And then maybe they'll phase it out. Maybe there'll be a phase out plan. Similar when you have like a company merger somewhere, like, these two banks merged or these two things merged. Like over time, it's like, hey, we've merged. And then eventually here's our new name. And it's like a progressive thing. It takes time, right? I expect them to slowly or maybe even quickly just be like, all right, this next new game that's coming out, we've got a new property coming from Blizzard. It's a brand new thing. It's exclusive to Xbox. And then like, hey, here's the thing, whatever. Anything that's ongoing, like World of Warcraft, maybe they get you cool deals if you have Game Pass, you get a discount on WoW or whatever it might be, but they're not going to take it away from anywhere that it already was because it's already existing. But anything new, that's going to be Microsoft. I don't think they're going to put out like, hey, Call of Duty in 5 years or whatever. If they own it, they're not putting it on PlayStation.
Well, I look back at like Minecraft, and I see how they've done it with Minecraft. Even Minecraft Dungeons. That was a newer Minecraft game, and it came out everywhere.
That's different. Like that's kind of like, okay, we've got this little thing that whatever. Minecraft is a huge thing already before Microsoft bought it, and it's not like there's a sequel to Minecraft. It's a live service type game.
Right.
And so I think with Minecraft Dungeons, it was kind of just like, sure, why not? We'll put it out here.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
there's a big difference between Minecraft and Call of Duty, also just for audiences who play those games too.
And that's why I still think Warzone and even the next iteration of Warzone will probably still be on PlayStation. Because that's it's a free to play. You're just not going to get that campaign if you want the campaign part and probably whatever little perks come with that.
Anything that would be like a mainline 60, 70, whatever dollar game, Call of Duty game in the future will just be Xbox. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it'll take to get to that point, but they will be working towards that. Because
see, what did I read?
Why wouldn't they?
What I think I read this week was this year's Call of Duty and next year's Call of Duty is contracted with Sony, but after that, it's not contracted. So you'd have at least 2022 and 2023. So probably.
So you might even see a shift of it still comes out on PlayStation consoles, but now instead of PlayStation getting special early access to maps or something, now only the Xbox does. It's just back that way again because it used to be like 360 days. Xbox got those, and then PlayStation started getting those, and it's just like who has the control at a certain point? But you're not going to own Call of Duty to put it out on PlayStation indefinitely, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or any of the properties that they have now.
Yeah. I still think Warzone will be, but I don't think the campaign will be. But
that is an existing thing.
Right.
Anything new, that's what it's talking about. So anything existing like Warzone that's a live service game, that will go for however long that thing goes, and then will die eventually whenever they decide to retire it. But because it exists in these places now, it will stay there.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why.
It'd make no sense to just take it away from people because, then they'll just be mad at you. It's like easy enough to just keep it up there because it already exists. Yeah. You're not really putting too many resources towards it necessarily.
No. And plus, it's making a ton of money. I mean,
there's also that. Yes,
yeah, I mean, because I was reading the stat the other day that 70% of Call of Duty players on consoles are on PlayStation. So, with Warzone, you're not going to take 70% of your console people, you're not going to pull that off of there. You're going to keep that there. Now they didn't say how many people played the campaign. This was just Call of Duty, so, 70%, that's a lot, and that's a lot of money you're leaving on the table.
I mean, there's plenty of people inside, Microsoft that are crunching numbers and be like, here's the scenario if we do this, here's the scenario if we do this, here if we roll out this way. There's somebody way smarter than us, looking at that thing. But I don't think you buy, you don't acquire all these properties to just be like, okay, everybody can still have them. You buy them so they'll be yours.
Right. Yeah. And
just like with Bethesda, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Or it's going to be one of those things where they pick and choose. Most of it's going to be, but maybe
I don't know that they're going to pick and choose.
I don't think
either,
they will
because
either.
Then it's a little too more of a complicated of a message.
Right.
I think it's just more again a rollout thing where things happen in phases. So it's like, okay, we got Bethesda. Okay, we put some stuff on Game Pass. That's cool. Okay, Starfield's exclusive now, guys, and we're just now sort of getting to the development of what Bethesda's stuff and Xbox, all that is looking like. We're still in the very beginnings of that too. So we're just like, all right, Starfield's going to be exclusive. What about the next thing?
Right.
We haven't gotten that far yet, so we don't know how they're going to handle it. But I think it's going to still be but all of it is like, hey, these are Xbox properties now, so this is a reason for you to be on Game Pass, for you to have an Xbox console. All these things, they're just giving more and more reasons for you to be in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah. Or are they giving you more and more reasons to put Game Pass everywhere, including a PlayStation console? How weird would that be?
Why would Sony do that? There'd have to be some crazy reason for Sony to put Game Pass on their console, because what do they gain out of it? Like, they could gain something, but not as much as what Microsoft would gain. So why would Sony do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, but I mean, it's like, well, like here the PC article, how many I forget how many, this isn't the best. There was a thing about how many people Activision Blizzard, it was like 10,000 people. This is 10,000 new employees that
Microsoft, you also have to think of, they have all the different areas of, like, you have all the different studios and sub studios. You've got the publishing side of Activision too, that's like a different thing. It's not like the development side. There's all these different publishing things, like all that stuff. And a very big company that they had spent a very big number of moon dollars to get.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people were just on fire angry about it online. I mean, it was just insane to watch.
Yeah. Honestly, with how long it will take to really like filter through this stuff, we might not even see the like full ramifications until like the next hardware is out.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
I remember one of the best ones I saw was the day, I mean, this was just like a few hours after it happened. Somebody posted on Twitter, it's like, that's it. I am unsubbing from WoW because I will not pay a subscription to Microsoft for anything. I'm unsubbing today. It's like, why are you unsubbing today? And what difference does it make? It's still...
It's because it's a WoW player on the internet. They have
right?
There's a certain percentage of WoW players that, like, any given day they can find some random thing, be like, I'm angry with WoW, so I will unsub, or I'm angry with this, so I will unsub. Or any subscription service like that that has that many people.
I'm unsubbing.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. If I was a WoW player, I would be happy about this, because to me, I would think you're going to get a better quality WoW at some point.
You are.
Or you're just going to get a new WoW, a new something.
I mean, WoW is so old at this point that I'm continually surprised that they can still make it exist and people just haven't whole hog quit it from just being the same old thing. I mean, I know people like their comfortable thing that they're used to and grinding it out, but yeah, WoW is very old at this point. Like, what if they did, what if there's a sequel to WoW or a spiritual successor to WoW made by Blizzard, whatever universe that might be, and, has new modern features? Would people jump over to it or not? Who knows? Yeah. I'm not an MMO player, so maybe they just be like, no, we want our WoW. I have no idea.
I am an MMO player, and I liked WoW, but, even I got tired of WoW. In fact, I finally sold all my collector's editions the other day.
There you go.
They finally.
You want to play it again? You can just download the vanillas.
Yeah, they're all on my account.
Why don't you go back and play a good Warcraft game like Warcraft 2 or something?
Yeah, I love Warcraft. I love those old Warcraft
remastered 3.
Oh, they're so much fun. Yeah. All the little weird Easter eggs they threw into those games are great.
Yeah, I love them. But yeah, this just came from out of nowhere, and it's just. It consumed me for about a week. I was just fascinated with everything that happened, all the information coming out, and then I got way down rabbit holes of just reading people's reactions, going, God, that's stupid. Oh, you're dumb. Oh, stop doing that. What do you even think? How do you get that? Oh my gosh.
I'm going to just throw this out here for Microsoft if you're listening. You now own so many different properties. Maybe you should try throwing all the different mascots you have into a Smash Brothers Link game, because you haven't really tried that yet. Sony did, and it was okay. But you've got a lot that you could throw into a game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's somebody had mentioned that online, and they listed all the all the different characters. Is like,
I mean, you got all the classic stuff like Master Chief, some random Forza car. I don't know, you couldn't do that, but that would be funny.
Yeah.
But now you have all these other properties too. You could throw in some WoW characters. You could throw StarCraft characters. You could throw in Call of Duty, man. You could have a pretty good roster for one of those types of games.
Yeah. It's the internet's reaction to it though has been crazy. I mean, it's like
the internet.
I know, but I mean, there's just a fine line between this is the greatest thing ever and gaming is now destroyed. I mean, it's just like a paper thin line of people who are burning it on both ends, and it's just like,
it's the internet. There is no nuance. There is no in between of maybe there's some good things and maybe some bad things, and it's a whole mix of stuff, and like there's some actual like different spectrum of whatever. No, it's good, it's bad.
Yeah.
The worst thing is the best thing. There's nothing in between.
And if you have any interest in any of that, this is the thing to look it up, because there's some crazy crap out there that people think this and that and that and this. It's like, what? Oh my gosh! Is
Microsoft buying Activision means Illuminati? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But I did read the other day that apparently Microsoft is also looking at some Japanese companies because they want to get into Japan with, or they want to get.
They really always want. You go back to like even 360 era, where it's like, look at these RPGs we're making. We want to get into Japan, so if they could ever crack that market, they would be very happy.
I'm telling you, you buy Sega and you buy Bandai.
Sega,
I'm telling you, buy Sega. There's so many.
Sega would make a lot of sense for Microsoft to pick up,
because they've kind of been in bed with Sega, after the Dreamcast faded with the Xbox. If you go back and you watch, especially if you weren't into console gaming at that time, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. But, if you go back and watch that documentary, they talk way about that, about how that happened with, it was kind of all these games were in development for the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast died. They moved them over to Xbox. But
well, what makes the most sense is like, okay, Xbox is saying they want to be more family friendly. Buy Sega, boom, you've got so many family friendly properties like automatically from that.
And you got a bunch of
you got Sonic and some other ones too. So it's just like, makes sense.
And you've got tons of games and IPs that Sega has not done anything with in a million years. I mean, a long time. That's
true. Even the stuff that they still do stuff with, because honestly, I think the moment, because when you think about it, Sonic, Yakuza, and all the Shin Megami Tensei, because Sega owns Atlas now, so stuff like Persona and stuff. Oh my lord, all of that on one platform.
Yeah.
So many people would move over like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and then you go into the games that that they or the IPs that they own that they haven't done anything with. Shinobi, Dynamite Cop. I mean, there's a game.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Really? It was actually over in America. It was called Die Hard because it was tied into the Die Hard movie. But I mean, it was a great 3D beat 'em up. That was awesome, and it was kind of like the Die Hard movie, but it's a great game. They only ever made one of them. It sold real well. Virtual On's another one. It's an awesome fighting game that they've made them on other systems, but I mean, there's just so many IPs. Yeah, I mean, Daytona USA. Do you want an arcade racer? I mean, look at what was that one arcade racing game that came out that was a lot like Daytona USA? It was on Switch. I bought it.
We're talking about the new. Well, no, you said like Daytona. I was gonna say Cruising, but that's
I was thinking
Horizon
Chase Turbo.
Yeah, Horizon Chase Turbo. And look at that game. I mean, that's a classic style arcade racing game. People loved it. It sold well, and it was made by a little indie company. Now you imagine Sega coming out with that. and using the Daytona USA. I mean, look at Streets of Rage. That game wasn't even published by Sega. It wasn't even made by Sega. It was given to, Sega gave their blessings to the company to make it. Same thing with the new Alex Kidd. Same thing with Monster Boy. Same thing with Shenmue 3. They didn't even have anything to do with that. They gave, they gave their blessings to use that IP. I mean,
Streets of Rage 4 sold really, really well.
It really did. I mean,
very excited. I was excited. Yeah. I own multiple copies.
Yeah, I mean, I bought it digitally and physically on 2 different systems, just because I wanted it. But yeah, if Microsoft bought Sega, holy crap.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Microsoft announced that they've acquired another company within the next, year or 2.
Yeah, and it won't.
Maybe less. I'm being very generous.
Microsoft, Sega won't cost you.
They're in the buying mood, man. They're just like, we'll take that one, and we'll take that one. We got that Windows money. We're just going to spend it everywhere.
I think
get that Game Pass money.
If they really just want to have that cherry on top, please with the Sega, and then you can relax for a little bit. You can relax. Just take Sega, and then just relax. Yeah. Just relax. You're done with the acquisitions. You're good. But
there's
Sega,
your Japanese RPGs. That's what you wanted. You wanted Japanese.
Because by getting Sega, you have Atlas, and it doesn't get any more JRPG than Atlas. So they're great at what they do, also. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. But it's a crazy time. I mean, we're kind of getting to a point where a bunch of things are just going to consolidate. Is what's going to happen. Yep. You're going to have like 3 or 4 big companies of gaming. It's going to be Sony, Microsoft, and they're just going to own everything. It's almost getting to be like the SEC in college football. They're just going to have all the good teams, and they're just it's going to be the conference. I mean, there's going to be 4 conferences in this country before long, but that's another podcast. And
I think you started seeing stuff like that with cable companies, honestly, because when you think about it, when you think of all the channels that are on any TV service ever, really, they're all owned across maybe at most 4 or 5 different parent companies.
And Disney owns most of them now because they bought Fox.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, Fox had a lot of them, and then Disney bought them. So Disney owns all the Fox and plus all the Disney. They own ABC, they own ESPN, they own all the Fox stuff. I mean, that's half your cable right there.
Yeah. I mean, really, between I'm just trying to think between
what
Disney
is this cable of which you speak?
And Warner, also Warner, because they have
they have TBS, they have Paramount, CBS is the other one. They have Paramount and NBC. I mean, really, that's it. You got 4 real big ones that own 90% of everything out there. So,
that's right.
Yeah. Everybody, it's a monopoly. It's a monopoly. No, it just means you might have to buy another system or buy a PC if you want to play these games, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just don't worry about the controller in your hand. Worry about what's on your TV.
Nope.
I think
we have to have our flag firmly planted in a piece of plastic in a $1 billion company that doesn't really care anything about us, but we think they do, but they don't. I mean, I know. Yeah, you pledge your allegiance to it, and you do, and I don't care. I don't care if it's Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony. If you think, as much as goodwill as Microsoft does for gamers now, if you think that that's when they're setting at a board meeting and they go, you know what do the gamers want? Yeah,
well, they're saying that what do the gamers want that we can sell them?
Yes. They're there to make money.
They are thinking about what we want, but they're thinking about how they can exploit it.
Exactly.
Because, corporate company.
It's $1 billion company does not care about you as much as you think they do. Until you realize that, wash the blue out of your eyes, wash the red or the green. It'll be okay.
Anymore though, it's getting to where if Sony keeps picking up all their PC ports, just get a PC and then buy a PlayStation controller and an Xbox controller, so you could switch to whichever one you want. And then if you like Nintendo stuff too, get Nintendo, and then you have everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
Sony's not quite caught up to where that would make the most sense at this point, but they are starting to put out some of their God of War on PC. Yeah. You never would have thought a year ago that they would do that necessarily.
Well, we'll see what happens because especially with you've been hearing rumblings of this the last week or so of all the developers being like, no, we want this to be on PC.
They did. There is stories out there from developers at first party developers that begged Sony to put.
That's because they understand that they will sell more copies and reach more people if they put their game out there rather than just being on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you can still market it for just PlayStation, but then in the tiny little corner, just say also available on PC.
Yeah. Hey, look at what Microsoft does for their games that are also on PC, and then you do something similar. It's not hard.
But PlayStation people don't want that because then they will not have any exclusives on their plastic box.
Guess what? You still have the same exclusive. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, guess what? It doesn't matter. If you want to play it on your PlayStation console, you still can.
Yep. And I've said it a dozen times before. I have a brand new PC that's less than 2 years old that I can play anything I want on it. But did I still buy a PlayStation and an Xbox? Yeah. Because I like consoles. I mean, I don't necessarily... I mean, can I play on my PC? Absolutely. Do I play on my PC? Sometimes. But, I just prefer a console. And then I just buy both of them, so then I don't have to worry about crap.
If you're playing the style of games that are on consoles, then that makes sense. If you're playing some stuff that's only on PC, then you can play it there. You've got options.
Yeah. I've got my Steam Deck.
But just the kind of games you enjoy, you're just more like, I want to hit them buttons.
I'm getting a Steam Deck. I'll be able to play my games, my PC games anywhere. I don't
know. There's some PC games that even on Steam Deck would not be very good. It would not be a good control scheme.
And let's see. God of War is available on Steam. I wonder if that one will be Steam Deck compatible. I'm very interested to see that because to be able to play...
I think it's very little that will not run on it. It's just as optimized for Steam Deck is what their approval list or whatever is about.
Man, now there's so many games. It's like, oh, that would really be cool to play in handheld. I've never been able to play that in handheld before.
Well, a lot of those indie RPGs, also RPG Maker games that never make it outside of Steam.
And that's...
and then there's plenty of those that shouldn't even be on Steam probably in the first place.
But that's why I want a Steam Deck more than anything, is to play those little indie games, and then I don't have to set at my downstairs at my computer. I can take them with me. I can play upstairs.
You can play those little indie games a year or two before they come out on the consoles and stuff, because they come out the ones because there's a lot that start Steam first and then go everywhere else because that's just where they target it when they develop it for whatever small company they are.
And then there's some that just
then there's ones
do.
that go the other ways too, then there's ones that are just on Steam and never get anywhere else.
Those are the ones that I like. The ones that I want to play on there is the ones that I cannot play anywhere else. I mean, that's really the only reason why I want one. So we'll see. February 25th, they said they are going to start shipping them on the 26th.
Have you gotten any emails or saying they're confirming when they're going to ship it for you?
No, they said they will start sending out emails on the 25th. The way it works is that you'll get an email on February 25th that says, hey, you have this pre-ordered if you're in that wave. Are you going to purchase this? If you're going to purchase it, let's purchase it right now because it will ship the next day. If you're not going to purchase it, let us know and we'll cancel it and we'll send this email to the next person down on the chain. So mine says Q2, so I'm hoping that enough people in the first batch went, I'm not going to buy it, that it'll just trickle down to me, but we'll see.
We'll see. I got the 64 gigabyte one. I'm still.
That's what I've got. I've got the 64 gigabyte one, and I've got a 400. What is this? Yeah, I got a 400 meg SD card.
Me too.
Sitting here.
It was on sale a few weeks ago, and it was dirt cheap.
Well, I have it. I bought it for the Switch a long time ago. I bought the 512 one over the holidays because it was dirt cheap. So, and it's faster. Than what I had before, but I don't know. I'm hoping I get it before second quarter, which is a while, but we'll see. Whatever. Money's there. Just take it. Take my money, please. All right. Well, that was all the news I had. There wasn't really anything big the rest of the week. There wasn't tons to talk about. So, But has anybody else got anything they want to talk about before we go? Or is everybody good? No, nothing going on? Nothing interesting? No.
I think that was basically the biggest news, really.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was. There was a lot of craziness. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to call that a show. Thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us. If you would like to listen to us live and come hang out in the chat, follow us on Twitter at GL_podcast. That way you can know a couple hours before whatever day we're going live. And like I always say, if you just listen to the podcast, you'll get it on the podcatcher the next day. We have launched the Gamers Lounge Network. We have how many streamers right now? 3? 4? I think we got 3.
4 at least. No, 4.
Yeah, and yeah, we got 4, and I've got a couple more that might join us. So that's at the GL Network. And when those different channels go live, they will be tweeted out on there, so you can check those guys out with what they're streaming and content that they're making and stuff like that. So that way they can get some support as well. So be sure to follow us there too if you're into watching, live streams of games and stuff like that. We're going to try to start doing a lot of that stuff this year through the
Not a good
network,
source
so.
of diverse content because everyone's playing something different.
Yeah,
usually.
everybody's playing something different. I know one of them's playing Red Dead, the other one's playing GTA. Which, you know what? Why is it when I see somebody play GTA 4, or was 5? Which is the newest one? The latest 5. Okay.
5.
Why is it when I see them playing that and they're doing the heist thing that I'd go, you know what? I would really like to play that. That looks really cool.
The heist stuff is fun. It takes coordination and time, and you got to make sure you play with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like I really kind of want to play that. And
it's surprisingly deep. I haven't played GTA 5 in a while.
I haven't either. I haven't played it in a long time.
A couple buddies and I, we finished the heist stuff, and it was definitely a commitment and well worth it. Payoff in the game's not great, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah, to me it's not so much the payoff, it's the fun factor that I think it would like.
Got to work together and each have a role and stuff. It's definitely crazy.
That sounds fun. So, but I keep
saying, when it comes to PlayStation 5, you can get it again.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like and that's the thing on PlayStation 5 every month. They said if you're a PlayStation Plus member, every month you get $1 million in game until the thing comes out, but you've got to remember to go on the store and cash it in.
4 or 5. What am I doing? I need that in-game cash. Buy me that fancy DeLorean car
again. And I totally forgot about it for like the first 6 months. It's like, well, holy crap, why haven't I been doing that? Even though I'm not playing it, it's like
I don't have my copy anymore. Getting GameStop has it for like $15 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it the other day for $20. It's like, it's like, no, don't be a dummy, John. Don't do that. Stop it. But anyway, another tangent before we go. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us and listening, and we'll catch you all next time.
Take care.
See you later.